Okay, everybody, hello and welcome to the Tuesday, October 22nd, 24 meeting of the Ayer Planning Board. This meeting hearing the Ayer Planning Board will be held in person at the location provided on this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation via Zoom is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in a specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may access the proceedings by joining Zoom meeting ID 833-6548-0732 or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Danny Ruiz, Town Planner, at druiz@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220, extension 144, prior to the meeting. I move to approve the agenda.
Seconded.
Excellent. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ken?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Nathan?
Aye.
Jeff?
Yes.
Chair votes aye, it's approved. So the first item is an informal review of 38 Groton Harvard Road. I'd like to invite the applicant to the table. What's that?
It's titled review?
What did I call it? I said it's an informal,
Yes.
That's where.
informal
we
presentation
discussed
review,
You
yes.
said review.
Okay.
Is it a review? Oh, it was just a,
Just a presentation.
Yeah.
Presentation, whatever. I was being informal. Is there a formal thing called a review? All right, please, if you would give us your names and address, and you have chairs?
Yes, we
And
do.
please, welcome, sit down, make
Thank
yourselves
you.
comfortable.
My name is Janet Field, and this is my husband, Michael.
Hello.
Hi, nice to meet you all.
Hi.
We wanted to come in and share with you our concepts for this development off of both High Street and Groton Harvard Road. We've had some informal meetings with kind of an advisory board here at this very table to get some feedback, but this is our first time to sit down with you all as a board and ask for kind of your input and feedback on what we've put together so far. So I know he shared some of the preliminary plans and that kind of stuff with you, I think just earlier today. But I wanted to let you know from our point of view that we've tried to come to you with like an early idea that we've put a lot of thought and effort into. We have a team, and we've reviewed kind of the Town of Ayer master plan and looked at the, really studied the open space residential development and tried to incorporate some of the key points that we think from our interpretation of what you've published Ayer's looking for.
Okay, great. And does Danny have something we can share on the Mondo board?
Yes,
so we
I
can
do.
see this? Great. And so I'm going to ask Danny just if there's any preliminary setup for the conversation, and then I'll turn it over to you, both of you, and you can lead us through the plans and talk about
continues.
what your vision is for this property.
Perfect, thank you.
informal presentation. Why do they keep doing that?
But that
Yeah.
dewdrop sound, yeah, it's really annoying.
It's the Zoom wants to start a meeting that's scheduled at this time.
Yeah, select board meeting, it says.
There's a, yeah. I imagine if you started, I have no idea what's gonna happen, just.
No, because it'll drop our meeting.
Is there a
Exactly.
way to hit cancel? Or-
We
No.
keep doing that.
I see, okay, sorry.
If you had dismissed it, won't we?
That's what I keep.
I've dismissed it with alacrity more than once. Thank you.
Yeah, the three dots are always the win. Delete.
No, I don't.
Oh, come on. You can do it. You can blame me. I'll click it.
Yeah, this meeting only, there you go. Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Let's see. All right. Let me share the screen. All right. Make sure I'm zoomed.
So you're gonna run this with them, Danny, is that the idea?
I'm just gonna give them a mouse. Everything's at the top.
Okay.
All of the architecturals too. All right, so this is an informal meeting that we have through the OSRD process in our bylaw that allows for the applicants to come before the board with a presentation just for high level purposes, just to give the board a presentation on what they're proposing, what they're looking at doing. This doesn't get in depth into, full engineering drawings, because they're not at that point yet. There's still a lot of work that they're doing in the background currently, but this is just so that the board can get a early view of what the applicant is looking to propose. We're not going to get too in-depth into questions per se. I would say high-level questions that the board may have, like, do you expect of a trail, or, part of the OSRD kind of quick questions like that. But we're not going to get into depth, like traffic report, just no in-depth questions kind of like that, or utilities and any of those.
Because
kind
no
of
formal
questions.
plan has been submitted.
Correct.
Danny, do you have the engineer, the engineer plan, there was
The Zoom bar's in the way.
Yeah.
sorry,
I can run this if you.
Yeah.
It's just this. It's the Zoom bar.
I was looking for the yield plan, just to give the board an idea of what the original, like a non-open space, a traditional development would look like. There we go. Sorry that I couldn't navigate
No,
that.
that's okay.
You can just shrink it, Danny.
Yeah, I'm just gonna turn it.
Yeah.
Went too far.
It's small, but it's legible at this point.
All right.
That's
there
probably
we
the
go.
best way. So you can probably see up in the top left corner where the nursing home, or the memory care center is. So that's the High Street end, and then you can see out on Groton Harvard Road. So if we were to build just single-family houses, this is what it would look like. And this plan is kind of like the kickoff point for everything, right? Like if you're going to switch it over to an open space. And this plan, I believe, gives us 34 house units.
26?
Well,
Some of them are
There's a couple with
duplexes.
duplexes.
So
Eight of
it's
them.
26 lots, it looks like.
26 lots.
yeah, sorry, 26 lots, 32 housing units. But, so then, then we went, looked at this and tried to look at the site and what the best way to develop something would be, and look at your new multifamily housing, from the last town meeting, and then we came up with the plan that,
Right.
and this is actually tweaked a little bit, so our engineer did one, and then we brought on board on our project team. Let me just tell you really quickly who our project team is. So obviously, Michael and I, we have Ian Rubin, who is our civil engineer, who did this draft plan. We're working with Miguel Architects to come up with some building blocks and things that we think would appeal to the masses, with kind of like a unit type building block that's repeatable and that we could use throughout these different housing units. And then we're working with Ross and Associates to do the survey work. And Goddard and Associates has done the environmental impact study for the conservation. And then we're working with Vanessa Associates, specifically Jeffrey Dirk for
We're working on it?
well, we brought all these people onto the team, and yeah, they're working on their bits and pieces. Yep, they're, just, we don't want to go too down, we didn't want to go down any path too far until we're certain, everything could kind of work. And so far, we've been pleasantly surprised. Our team is terrific, and as they're working through things, they're making very positive, great discoveries. So we're hopeful that we can get some feedback from you guys and keep working with them.
Okay, let me just so that the board knows. We've had some internal meetings with department heads, with the applicants. We've had about 4 meetings internally, just to discuss what the town would look for and from the project, what we would like to see, and the applicants have been willing to work with the town very well, and we've been very happy so far with what they've been proposing.
I'm assuming DPW, building.
Yep.
Community development and planning.
Yep.
Thank you.
It's a conceptual level, can you just give us a description, how many multis, how many singles, how many, et cetera? Just give it like an overall high-level view.
Yep, so the way it's designed today, there are 59 units. it would be, the yield plan would allow 68, but just to, with providing for additional parking, et cetera, it works out that 59 is what it fits. And there are, do you know the exact breakdowns of the numbers of buildings?
There's 3 singles.
I believe 7 duplexes.
You said the duplexes?
I
7.
think there are 7,
There's 17
Yeah,
units.
sorry that you, of course,
It's
I
on
think
the,
there's 1,
traffic study.
2, 3.
traffic study with me.
I can't.
Sorry, this is embarrassing that I don't know it off
Be
the top of my head, but I
42,
don't.
yeah, it would be 42 units in three unit.
Yeah, because there's a
Just
there's a
mathematically.
there's a 5-unit one right up
There's just-
here.
Yeah.
There's a couple of quads. So there's a several. I can get the breakdown.
They're
for
different
everybody.
size buildings.
I will,
Yeah.
sorry, I
No,
have
that's
it, I
okay.
do have it, but I don't want to sit here in front of you all digging through all my papers.
There's a mix of singles, duplexes, triplexes, quads, and 5.
and they're all the same size unit.
Oh, sorry, I have it right
Yeah.
here.
They
We
just-
have,
Married together, 2 in a building, 1 in a building, 3 in a building, 5 in a building,
yep,
that
we have
structure.
4
Got it.
singles, 8 duplexes, 4 triplexes, 4 quads, and 2 5-unit buildings. And we've tried to work, the reason that these have the red and the orange on them is we tried to work with the architect. We were trying to keep the middle units to be the 2 bedrooms because they're gonna, ideally will have this kind of like upstairs patio that will allow for outdoor space inside. So that's, like, it makes it look kind of funny with those, but it's really just we're working on like being excited about it and getting things the way that we would want to present them
A
to you
usable
for.
space without having a 3-bedroom unit. Having more of a outdoor space that is semi-private above, that's not right next door to another unit.
Yeah,
It
and
gives it a
let
little
a lot
privacy.
more sunlight into the upstairs of units that are in the middle. So it's kind of neat, kind of something that but that explains why it looks kind of funky with these changes already written on plans that you haven't seen before, I'm sorry. So it's kind of like an internal document that I
I
showed.
can show the original document which I have as well. Once it loads.
There it is, okay.
Yeah, so this is the original.
So the development is up at the top part of the site, and the bottom half is kind of where the open space is left open, and we did that for a couple of different reasons. It's a little bit more approachable up top, and it kind of provides for more connectivity with the downtown area, like we're, more walkability potentially for the homeowners. And what we were planning to do is where that house is down on Groton Harvard Road, that is great soil for recharge. So we would probably propose to remove that house, provide like some parking for people to access the open space, like just, I don't know, I sent Danny a picture
I have
of my
a picture of it
idea,
right now. I can pull it up for you.
kind of an idea of how you might. So that's in Littleton, so something like that, like where there are a few spaces, maybe a bike rack, if you all agreed and thought that would be helpful at all for people to ride their bike to walk. I don't know if that.
The house that's there, it's very flat, and then maybe 150 feet back, then it starts going up at like a 10%, 9% slope all the way up until it gradually goes down to like a 5 or 6% slope where the houses would be.
And the environmental engineer that we worked with concurred that there is a house, up on the top, an old abandoned house up there, and there, it's really overgrown with a lot of invasive species, so they advised that part of the site would be better developed versus this kind of untouched land through the center portion.
Yeah, the old Hudlin house.
Yeah, yeah. I only have a draft copy, so I didn't provide it with you all, but it goes into like exactly specifically what the species are and all that kind of stuff and it's a little bit, it's very technical.
Yeah, it's part of the conservation analysis that's required.
Right, and it, so we've tried to keep the development where it would be most advantageous to kind of preserve parts of the property. And it's very interesting because, I'm sure you guys know that so much of the land today is wetlands or, so we're in a very unique situation here where There is no wetlands. There is a lot of rock. It's a very ledgy site. Is that the right word?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we'll accept
Ledgy.
Leggy.
The most leggy site.
So, you know, we're working around that too, but yeah, so this is basically what we have as of today, and we would just look for any, you know, advice or input that you might have about, you know,
And I'll open up the
oh, right.
the
Sorry.
architecturals that we have, so as well.
So that floor plan that you see there is something that we came up with working with Miguel and our team there. And it's kind of, we reviewed the Massachusetts DCHD, what their recommendations are for housing units and what they're looking for, because obviously there'd be an affordable component to the project. And this is kind of, you know, keeping it open, but having closets in certain places, the laundry centrally located. Like we really tried to cover a lot of those, all, if not all, of what they're looking for. I'm
Those
really.
are our guidelines.
Yeah, I'm really happy with Miguel. They had great ideas and I think came up with something that's really like the place that I would like to live in. Like it's a very, you know, usable space.
So this is one of the other plans that you can see. Here's a rendering, the floor plan. Here's another one. The first floor with the garage, you can see.
Yeah, can you scroll up again, please?
That's the
So
second
that's
floor.
second floor rendering, but the deck is on the first floor, okay.
Right.
Got
And
it.
in that example, this is the 3-bedroom example.
Uh-huh.
That bedroom in the upper left-hand corner,
Mhm.
on the 2 bedrooms, that would be converted into a kind of an outdoor second-level patio space.
So it could not be used as a bedroom.
It could
Right.
not be.
Right, so
mean-
that, and that
Sip
will
outside
reduce
in the
the
winter.
price a little bit,
Yeah, so it would be.
but it
would
also
be-
gives us some privacy and some.
Yeah, I understood, yeah. No, understood, yeah.
When we were working with the applicant, you know, it was important that we felt that, you know, we were looking at a lot of the influx with the new Devons, you know, people coming in, as well as people in town who want to downsize. So that was one of the, you know, big things we were trying to look for with, for the applicant to try to provide, and we felt that, you know, this definitely does that.
And I'm sorry, you see this as single-family ownership, not a condominium or an HOA?
It is gonna be.
No, there is an HOA, yeah,
Thank you.
but, yeah.
Um,
I mean, it will be single-family ownership, but they'll absolutely be,
That's
'cause-
fine.
yeah.
and this is, you can see the 3-unit here.
Mhm. I'm assuming there's gonna be a pull-up driveway in front of every garage, so there's 2-car
Yep.
space, thank you.
And then one space inside.
Yeah, one inside, one outside, yeah.
And there's a 5-unit, and then here's the,
The 2-car garage, we're not gonna,
Yeah,
we
sorry.
just have it on there, but we're not gonna do that, cause it'll take up too much space,
And it's like, if you introduce a 2-car garage option, I think it just, like, within the community, just, I don't know, I think it would convolute things, so I'm sorry that we didn't have the architect take that off yet, we just hadn't had a chance. That's kind of the outdoor, backyard look for the 3-bedroom units.
and then this is one of the renderings.
Are you gonna be doing anything in the buildings to make them solar-ready and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's,
yeah, they are,
Building code.
building code.
I understand, I'm just
yep,
Yep.
solar ready.
I asked the question the nice way.
No, 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 no.
They're all, they're gonna have, heat pumps,
So, yeah, from a sustainability outlook, which is like one of the key points that I had, like, there'll be obviously all Energy Star. We have planned like a very in-depth insulation package, so they'll be, you know, super well insulated, which can really help with the energy cost, high-efficiency heating systems, which
heat
Michael's.
pumps, yeah.
And looking at like using some long life cycle materials, like for flooring and that kind of thing, you know, no carpets, so that they won't have to be replaced every 10 years, just kind of looking at, you know, interior trim and doors and things that have like longer usability.
So if you don't mind, Danny, could you scroll up to the picture above? The building in the middle suggests a basement, but the other buildings don't.
Some of them are
Yes.
gonna have, the buildings on the lower side are in a more of a filled area,
Mhm.
the high side. I just don't,
But you're not going down in the ledge to put basements in?
no,
Got it.
No.
Thanks.
Well, they'll have enough room for utilities, we just don't wanna have full
Yeah.
finishable basements is what we're thinking, leaning towards.
Yeah, because I didn't see, in the renderings, there's no utility closets on the decks or anything like that, so they gotta go
So
somewhere.
you're not anticipating a full basement then?
On,
And it'd be a first if you don't. Does anyone know that there's any place that has slabs in town? Well, I mean, recently, at that price point.
Outside of New England, most of the country.
A lot.
The next applicant.
I also, I agree with you, but.
Lower price point.
No, I don't,
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that was one of the big things when we met with the applicant. It's to make sure we're trying to, we're hitting that more affordable numbers and, with these housing units.
Oh, good. You guys didn't mention that, right? Did they mention that?
They did not, but.
but there,
think that's a
how many
brief one.
affordable units are we,
the minimum number of affordable units would be 6.
Mhm.
So there'll be 6 houses that would count towards your SHI. That would be fully marketed and within all the guidelines for DHCD.
And what was the square footages that were?
They're about 1,900 square feet
That's what I thought, 1900.
for the 3 bedrooms. So the 2 bedroom would be
a little bit smaller, maybe?
200, 1,700, maybe 1,680 or something.
Yeah.
And that middle rendering was for the, a single-family unit, which we did, it's a little bit different layout. I'm sorry, if you go, yeah, that one right there. So that has a first floor bedroom. That's why that has the bump out on the side, because we're thinking maybe for some families that were looking to downsize but wanted to have a first floor bedroom.
Starts out as a common room and ends up as the bedroom.
Yeah.
Probably, right. And then this rendering was just kind of to
Nobody wants
show
one,
what,
but, yeah.
how the buildings would work with the slope, so you could get a vision for,
The top of the site where we're proposing is about the road itself is just gonna be a 5% slope all the way down, so it's not too steep. It works pretty good with units that are connected, where you can have steps in each unit with not having a lot of retaining walls in between each unit. And that keeps the cost down as well.
And here's one of the 5-unit ones.
Couple questions. Jeff already mentioned the ownership. Did you say condos and the single families will be standalone?
they'll have to
Same-
have the condo,
same.
they'll be as part of the HOA, because the whole road and infrastructure, everything will be managed by the HOA.
Okay.
It won't be a town road.
Okay, so it'll be all condominiums?
It'll be all condominium. So, the way that we understand it is that each individual person will buy their condo and have a deed, and they'll have an exclusive use area.
Mhm.
But they will all contribute to the maintenance, the plowing, the trash
Open
removal.
space.
Yeah, it'll fall under the master deed.
Right. So it's, yeah. We've actually already met with some people to try to get ideas about how we can best make it, affordable, because the condo fee can kind of, put an extra strain on families, so.
And when do you intend to submit a formal plan? Do you have a?
Well, we wanted to take whatever feedback we can get from you, and those 3 parts of the traffic impact study, the conservation study, and, well, the survey, we've all been, we talk to them all, once a week, and it's gonna be done by Friday. So they're close to having their, actually, the environmental engineer did share a draft copy, so I do have a draft copy of that. It was for us to review, and he's supposed to, we get back to him after we review it in depth, and then we'll have something to share with you.
And this is gonna be town water, town sewer?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sewer by gravity, or are they
Yes.
no pumps?
Gravity.
No problem.
We're gonna try,
Okay.
Pretty high up.
Yeah.
yeah, and it goes
Yeah,
pretty down.
pretty high up, but there's, connections too.
That's a plus.
And,
No
and,
ones?
and as an OSRD, you're not proposing to do anything down on Groton Harbor Road except, parking spaces?
In the sewer, we'll
Yeah.
attach down there.
Yeah, the sewer line coming in, but there's gonna be no driveway, no drivable access into the
No.
property? Okay.
No.
I'd like to follow up on that.
What was that? No driveway, what?
No, from Groton Harbor Road, there's not gonna be a driveway going up from Groton Harbor
No
Road.
connection.
So it's just High Street.
Yeah.
Just from High Street going up on top.
Yeah, and that would be one of my significant concerns, because we're looking at, we have applicants before us that are single egress, single ingress, egress projects. There's stuff before our building commissioner that cul-de-sacs and dead ends were put in, and they limit some of the future work of neighboring properties. You know, we have to be more creative. I don't know that there's anything in our bylaw that would require a secondary egress, but I would certainly be interested in the fire department's input.
We have
did-
met with them.
We met with them.
Okay.
We, this road meets all their standards for their,
I mean, they're gonna do an in-depth review, but they
Yeah.
took a look at the plan and the
Yep.
turnarounds, and
Yep.
And their
our
radiuses.
engineer looked at their new fire truck regulations and radiuses and all that kind of thing. And I do, because I agree with you, we did look at having connectivity, but
Mhm.
the concern was, a lot of people expressed it would be a cut through. People would cut from Groton Harvard Road up to get to the
Yeah.
center
Or-
that way.
Yeah,
or High
that's
Street
a
coming down.
possibility.
Yep.
And you're gonna get
That's
people
what we do all
going,
over town. There's
You're
a
gonna get-
second way, but it's locked. The fire department has a key. Oh, that's the way they do it.
But if you may recall, when we had the OSRD
Well, I don't want to. I
discussion.
don't want to see.
Yeah.
So
And-
very,
and
we're
the
very
single
early in
entry
this, and we have had internal meetings. So the fire department has reviewed it. I have reviewed this as well. You know.
And if I may, a single entry preserving higher value property is an appropriate use of OSRD.
I just make, on this topic,
No, it's okay.
Julie, wait, okay, Julie's giving you permission, go ahead. Nate.
thank you, Julie.
You're welcome.
On this topic of egress, I'd be curious if the town owns lot 27-163,
Yes,
and it ties right into the bottom end of your development?
the top end.
Top
The
end.
top, right where the homes,
Down here.
Oh,
Further down.
you know, your
There is a old, I think.
So
we were
this
at-
is the town owns up here.
Yeah, no, there's another piece
No.
down too, down below.
No.
Very
No.
small, narrow
Keep going.
piece, right there, that triangle.
Yeah.
Oh,
A little triangle at the bottom.
that's the town's property.
oh.
Yes.
I'd be very interested to know.
Couple pieces down
It's
there.
very steep right there.
It
It drops
is.
off very, so it's.
Yeah, you can see how close the lines are together.
It's 12 feet from your road to the grade, right? So
That right there is probably a 25% slope.
Yeah, and it does,
If that, it's probably more.
so
it's very similar to Central Ave behind those
Yes.
condos where it really drops off right there, and that
Yeah.
is,
it's a 40-foot wide swath,
yes, yeah.
and maybe even just a one-way road. But I'd be that would be my input, is if there's possibility for a second egress.
But does that slot, that's landlocked?
No, it goes to the street.
Goes to Groton Harvard.
Goes to
It
about-
connects
There's a
down there.
tiny
It
little
connects,
piece
well, you
there,
can't see it.
20
It just,
feet wide,
it connects down
might
here.
be right.
All right, Julie. That's,
Okay.
yeah. It's right here.
I've seen it, because I've looked at it. so-
Yeah.
This 27,
Yeah,
Thank you, Julie.
163,
Not a big question.
Town of Ayer.
and we did some preliminary discussion with the building department about who owns half of a paper road that.
I don't think that would, that's all Town of Ayer, if
It's
it,
not a paper
These
road.
are,
That's a town road. The town-owned piece of property.
yes.
Yeah.
It's not a road.
right.
No, it's at one point, it was probably a paper, a proposed
'cause it-
paper road in the.
That's how I-
1900s,
that's
whatever-
what I thought.
Whatever it was, but
Well, either way then.
it could be that the parcels of land on each side of it own to the midpoint of that parcel right now.
We could do some investigating.
Yeah.
That's something that we could absolutely do some investigating and see what, and, I mean, we have a little strip too, like, there's the area where the house is, I mean, there's,
Yeah.
but it
There's
all,
also another
That
portion that
woman has
goes
no
down
frontage.
to,
yeah.
She has no frontage, that owner.
Yeah, no, she has an easement right here for
Yeah.
this, from this house. I actually spoke with the owner about this. They do, so they do have an easement that goes down this way. There's a driveway there.
yes, that's
There's
the
no
driveway
frontage.
for it.
No, but they have, that's their access. That's their easement to pass and repass.
It's existed before zoning.
Yeah, it's existed before, so they can't be taken away.
But, I mean, there,
Haven't said
obviously, there's
pre-existing
enough
non-conforming
land,
in a
one
while.
way or another, to connect it, if that's
Right.
what, like, is for the greater public good.
Yeah.
I just don't know if, I guess that's.
And this is also why they're looking at having the traffic study done, to show whether or not one egress will work or not. I mean, they have to meet, traffic standards for that. And if there is any mitigation that's necessary, the applicant, the peer review of the traffic study would say that. So I think we're kind of
Yeah,
a little ahead of ourselves.
So I think that you're looking for high-level
Yes,
feedback. So
yeah.
I'll kick off. Did you have a chance to speak?
No.
Go
it's
ahead.
high
Jewel
level,
first and then
it's
I'll
high
go.
level and I'm quick. The picture we had before this with the
Yes.
houses, like it was a rendition. No.
Concept.
They were like, it was a concept one.
Rendering.
Yeah, this is-
Rendering. I had that one.
you want the architectural one?
It's okay. If we don't go back to it, it's fine. I just had a question on that one that was simple. You had mentioned that the last minute changes and you were moving and it sounded really fascinating. Is this similar to that or did the streets change?
That's
Yeah,
exactly what
the
the streets are.
architect did this is based off those switching.
So this is what you're currently thinking?
Yep.
I mean, I know it's not.
Yep.
Okay, thank
So
you.
is High,
And then-
where's the entrance from High Street?
Right at the top, right there,
Yep.
yep.
Thank you, okay.
Yeah.
And then I just want to throw in, I love the bike rack idea.
Oh, you do?
I actually ditched my bike at his house. I know it's a high
live around the
level.
corner from
I'm
you.
sorry, but I'm just saying, I like it. Thank you.
You're not the only one who ditches your bike
I
in my
appreciate
house.
that, because I
I'd
wondered,
rather
I'm
ditch
like,
my
is that-
bike there than at his house, no offense.
I wondered if it would be something that would appeal to people, so
Well,
that's great to
I
hear.
don't want to ride it up the incline.
Yeah, 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 that's a tough
So-
incline.
So the high-level feedback I would give is this. I think there's a lot about this that looks really promising. I like that there's a variety of options that gives a variety of price points. I like the density, I like the use of the land, and I like what you've done with the open space. So I'm enthusiastic, and I look forward to seeing the plan.
Okay,
Seconded.
Any,
I don't,
Ken,
I'm
Nathan?
not sure if I should even comment now without seeing the real set of drawings. But
Okay.
The first thing that comes to mind is, this must be an oversight as a private driveway. It does not need to be less than 500 feet as a dead end. In our OSRD regulations, in our subdivision regulations, there's a dead end limit of 500 or 600 feet. I wouldn't know how many special permits, I guess I'd like to know a list of special permits they'll need. Just starting at the corner of High Street and the road that goes in front of the
Right up here.
medical building there.
Yep.
That's like 200 or 300, maybe 250 feet down that street
Yep.
to the entrance.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'd have to know from DPW and see the calculations on the sewer and water usage and how it would impact the town. If there needs to be any upgrade on the sewer system, size-wise, in that area of town. So, I mean, I'm more on the technical aspects of it now, but I'd start right out by saying, we've never seen a project that has dead ends like that. Just never saw one.
You mean with the hammerheads?
Oh, there's no way to turn it, this is dead end, it's all dead ends.
Yeah, so those are called hammerheads. It's
Call it what you want.
yeah. So fire department did look at them, and that's why they put them in for them to turn around.
Right, but we have a provision in our bylaw about the length of a
Yep.
dead end street.
Yeah, and so when they make their submissions, they're gonna have to. They'll review all of that, and there may be waivers that are requested.
Okay. I mean, I like the idea of the affordable housing, I'm all about, everyone's for that.
Yeah.
I'd like to know more about the,
I don't know how that works. That's a very interesting question, because it really is, as a condominium association, it's not a town road, so I don't know
Yeah, so-
if the same.
So that's another thing. It is not going to be.
driveway.
It's not going to be taken over as a town
regulations on
road.
driveways too, I think.
It'll remain the responsibility of the
If it's a
association.
driveway, we have a regulation on how many units can be on a shared driveway.
So
There's a lot.
yeah, there's definitely a lot that needs to be, but yes, you're getting into the
I know, I'm just saying, there's a lot.
No, but I get it. Yeah.
They might think they're further along than they are. So that's all I'm getting at.
Yeah.
The idea of doing multifamily housing is great, we
Yeah.
want that, you know?
Yes, yeah. I second that. And the 60 units walkable to downtown, great idea.
The other thing we'd need, like, I'll go back to the yield plan, I'm guessing you already did this, but, so the math on the yield plan, because we allow the two-family with 24,000 square feet, the mathematics worked out to so many 12,000 to 15, whatever size, and so many over 24,000, that's how you got the two families.
Yep.
Got to the count.
Yep, and then there's also built in the, based on the,
Then you have the bonuses.
yes, exactly.
So were there any bonuses allowed for the open space, the size of the open space?
So, based on based on the calculations of the bonuses, they could get up to almost 100 units. So they've kept it down to what they actually could get.
I think the number was 90, we could have had
It was like
91,
90, yeah, that's right.
91 units, but, I mean,
That's based on the math that was done
Yeah.
by somebody in town hall at this point in time.
Yes.
Okay.
Based on the yield plan,
Now, that criteria of bonuses is also at the purview of the planning board.
that is correct.
They understand that.
Yep, that is correct.
but we kept it underneath, we didn't use any bonuses, we kept it underneath, it's 11 units or 10 units underneath what would just be the open space allow.
Good. Any further feedback from board members? Okay, well, I want to
Thank
thank the Fields
Yeah, thank
for
you.
giving us this opportunity to get a preview.
Thank you.
And again, looks promising, I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time, all of you, and your feedback, so we'll take it back to the drawing board and, give our team what we talked about and go from there.
Sounds good.
Great, thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Next on our agenda, it says public meeting, but actually it's a continuation of the open public hearing for Stratton Hill. Emily, there we go. Mr. Collins, counselor, and I believe we have representing
Frank McPartlin.
engineering. What's it?
Frank McPartlin is with me.
We have Frank here with us.
He's going out the door.
So here's the thing.
We also, keep going.
What's the matter?
I'll say, we also have the peer review from Greenman International's Jim Thorne.
So, look, here's how I want to open this.
Yep.
There's many dozens of individual items to be discussed.
Yeah.
We get that. We're not going to get to all of them tonight.
That's right.
In fact, very small component. But I do think, as an ambition for this evening, what I would like to see is I'd like to create a path to completion for this.
I agree.
You know, we've done, all of us, we've been working on this literally for years now. The latest proposal we got was very promising and addressed the largest concerns that we had. And so at this point, I think we're close to something very viable. A lot of work has already been done, and what I want us to concentrate tonight is to say, what remains, what are the real obstacles to completion? What remains to be done to get this to the finish line? And in priorities, obviously tackling the big stuff first. For example, there are a number of important documents that haven't been submitted or completed yet, including the stormwater management permit, I think there's a MIPA, there's some other stuff. And we have to, and we have to just, I'm trying to think what's to implore you to consider, let's get a move on those things, because we cannot deliberate and arrive at a decision until we get those.
And we'll report on all of that tonight.
And then regarding this, there's the peer review and the comments, and there's tons of stuff to go over. Nothing will be neglected, but again, I want to encourage us to think about focusing tonight on the biggest items that require further work down the road. So let's make sure we identify what the big things are, put our focus there, and as a goal this evening, saying, let's build that path. Does that sound reasonable to everyone?
Yeah.
Excellent. Danny, you take the floor.
Yeah, so,
Chair, may
Yes.
I make a simple request? It may sound stupid, but we have been at this for a couple of years, and it's been sitting for a little bit of time. Can we just have a quick refresher on what's in front of us?
Danny will do
that's
that.
Thank
that's
you.
exactly what
I just wanted to give you the intro so people don't give up,
Yep.
because it's changed
yes.
since the last time we were sitting here. Thank you.
Yes, the project has changed, and it hasn't been before us.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. Yes, I think the last public hearing we had was in January.
I think I was a year
And
younger
then
than.
Prior to that was in October when we opened the public hearing. So in the meantime, between that time and now, we've had a couple of peer reviews that have been done, responses from the applicant, and revisions to the plans. So what I would first want to do is just have the applicant give a quick presentation on the plan as we see before us.
Beautiful.
Just because it's been quite a bit of time.
So that's fine. So this is, as everybody knows, the Stratton Hill proposal for the Molten Construction and Fox Meadow Realty property off of Wright Road. It's a site that is about 150 acres total. It's divided about a third of the way in from Wright Road by a power line easement that crosses it for New England Power. It is immediately adjacent to what was a 550-acre site that the same client developed in Groton with a limited development proposal of 84 units on 500 acres, and he gifted a 430-acre wildlife sanctuary to Mass Audubon that backs up to the back portion of this site. So the town line is actually the border of the property that Mass Audubon owns. As we looked at this, so years ago, there was a subdivision approved on this with a conventional development plan, and it's of record, and Mr. Moulton has been paying taxes on the house lots. And with me, there's a lot of hot air, so it's good for opening the window. But in any event, happily, you guys did change your bylaw several years ago, and Mr. Moulton wanted to do something more analogous to what we did on the Groton side, on this side. So that started the process that got us back here a few years ago at this point. As time went on, the wisdom of keeping the development on the south side of the power lines presented itself. It saves an enormous amount of roadway. It makes it a much more efficient development. And it will allow for a housing type that's different, really, than a lot of stuff that's being offered in town. So the current proposal has 35 units. They're all situated south of the power lines.
34?
34,
For the
excuse me, yeah, forgive me. We actually reduced it, we had 35 before. I needed to make the numbers work, so we did reduce
He's
it
thinking of
to
the trailer at
34.
the end of the road, that's.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's the first question we ever asked you. How many units?
Yeah, that's right. It keeps moving. But in any event, there's 34 units. They're intended to be duplexes. They actually could all be singles too. All we'd have to do is move the units 10 feet apart, and we could actually have the exact same unit be single family on the same lots. There are 3 common driveways, forgive me, 4 common driveways that serve clusters of the lots. We did want to maintain, and we did to the extent possible, it's awfully tight, we wanted to maintain the right-hand or easterly portion of the subdivision road as not developed, so that the open space would continue straight down to the shore of Long Pond, and we were able to accomplish that. The open space itself now is 134.87 acres. That I have down pat. And it's actually divided into 2 portions. The area from the power lines to the back would actually,
Overall one that we can see.
but the area from the power lines back would be conveyed to the Department of Fisheries and Wildlife. And the area closer to Wright Road, there's an open space, series of open space parcels that surround the development. Those would be conveyed directly to the town of Ayer to be held by the Conservation Commission. There is, as everybody knows, a road that was roughed in years ago for the more ambitious subdivision, and that would be actually utilized as a trail to allow somebody to access the back portion, and we've provided a parking area on the subdivision road where that could be accomplished. So that's kind of an overview of what the development, but let me go through this,
I
yeah.
just want to step in real quick.
Yeah.
Our intent was to restore the road that was roughed in north of the
Yes.
north of the power lines. We've provided a parking area and a trailhead that walks up to the power lines. But that's the extent of the
That's the
proposed
extent,
trails.
yes, that's right, because it's there, I mean, you can actually drive it with a a very decent vehicle. I've been up there several times myself. Now, as you correctly pointed out, there's been a series of peer reviews and then responses and then reviews again. And we are actually down to a very short list that really is associated with drainage. So as all of you here will recall, a portion of the drainage system for the larger subdivision was actually installed by Mr. Moulton, and one of the things that we proposed was that we would maintain that portion as part of the drainage system for the surface runoff, primarily because it's right next to the pond, and it seemed, it did not seem environmentally sensitive to take something that was constructed, that was intended and designed to serve more impervious cover than it's going to serve now. It seemed like not a particularly good idea to dig all of that up and replace it with something that would meet current standards. We've been quite upfront that in a couple of respects, that design does not meet current stormwater standards, but it's actually over-designed. So we've actually requested a waiver for that portion. And those are the peer review comments that we're kind of left with. There are other things that I wanted to report on very quickly. We have been in consultation with Public Works regarding the sewer. I am assuming that, and Matt has already provided me with a proposed contract that Dave could sign, that would allow us to join in with their redesign and reconstruction of that lift station.
So that's where you're going now?
Well, I'm assuming that that's okay with Mr. Henderson, then yes.
Mr. Henderson?
He's
So,
he's
the landowner.
Yes, correct.
So I've spoken with his attorney. I do want to just confirm that that's fine with him. We should be able to resolve that fairly quickly, so we'll know one way or the other. We would want to, and I'll provide a letter to this effect, we would want to preserve the possibility of doing our own lift station, given that we have the design for it. God forbid Mr. Henderson should change his mind and decide to appeal on that basis. I don't see that happening, but would want to make it, I would want to make a condition regarding sewerage that it's to be worked out between us and Public Works. There was an issue that Public Works had regarding part of the water main. There was about 300 feet of the water main that had already been installed, and they had concerns about that. We're willing to just bite the bullet on that and put in a new water main and be done with it.
Okay, all right.
There was actually, if I may, there was quite a bit more than 300 feet installed.
That
And
we're
our
already
last
gonna take
proposal,
out.
we had taken out several hundred feet of that and then had suggested to use the initial part from Wright Road, basically up the main access, but we've since received comments from DPW.
So we're just putting in a
going the
new
other
one.
way. So we'll just put in a new one.
So the plans will reflect that change, clearly.
They already do.
Well, no.
Well, not the first 300
Not this
feet, but
revision,
we'll
not
fix
this
that.
revision, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
But by the time we get to that.
Yeah, by the time we get to that point. Then, the fire department had expressed concerns about the units on the common driveways. I don't know that I share that concern, but it would not be an issue to sprinkle those homes.
Are you willing to sprinkle?
Yeah, I mean, that would be fine. I did give you a list of waivers.
Yes.
Back in July. Those actually still stand, except we did, provide the, test hole data, some additional
Yes.
test hole data that
Okay.
had been requested. And, we actually replaced, we originally had kind of a little pathway down by the entrance that was concerned. We've replaced that with a sidewalk, so now there is a sidewalk on one side of the entire subdivision road.
Yeah, so it goes from Wright Road
Yep.
all the way
All
up
the way.
and around.
Yeah,
And is that the,
Oh, good.
and that's the mail kiosk up there on the right?
And that's the mail kiosk right there, correct?
right there, yeah.
Because we spent a lot of time talking about that last time.
We did.
Thank you.
But other than that, I can refresh the waiver letter that I did back in July to correctly reflect the status of things. But other than that, the other waiver requests haven't changed. I have had conversations with both the MIPA unit in Boston and with the review biologist in charge of the site for the conservation management permit. The review biologist is aware of what we're doing, she's seen the plans, and I'm submitting an amendment request that she will turn around and give us a letter by the time I come back and see you guys next. Similarly, I talked to the assistant director of the MIPA program. She agreed with me that this would not require a new filing. So, but let me finish, so I'll go through it. One could request an advisory opinion, but she said, chances are, what we would tell you to do is a notice of project change. And she said that actually makes the most sense. She said, I have a very difficult time believing that the change that I described would have higher impacts than the development that they already approved. And given that work has been ongoing continuously since the initial filing, she did not have a problem with the lapse of time issue, because in her opinion, there wasn't a lapse of time. We've been working on the permit
Just
for
for
19 years.
Yeah, but for clarification, the work on the permit is the work, because the permit consisted of two towns.
It was one permit.
Exactly,
for
that's
the
what I want
whole
to
site.
clarify, right.
That's right. So in any event, I'm actually putting together the notice of project change and getting it into them. I am going to wait until I have something back from the review biologist at Natural Heritage so I can include that. I'm hoping to strong arm Ann Gagnon into providing some nice letter that's supportive of it, and we may well provide a letter from a couple of other authorities of why this is a good idea. But I actually, on the basis of the conversation that I had yesterday, I have absolutely no hesitation that that's the way this thing will go. The only other question that I actually had, forgive me, before I get to that, Frank has actually done the stormwater application and
And I gave that to you, yep.
and I think that, and I brought the checks to your office, so I
No,
think
oh,
that's.
no, you gave me the checks and the signature pages for the notice of intent.
Oh, forgive me, the
filing,
notice of
which-
intent.
Which will be going out
That's
this week.
correct. But in any event, we'll get you the
We'll get to
application
it.
on the stormwater,
I'll
for
continue
next
to
time.
Push for that.
And then,
I just want, real quick.
Yep.
While we're talking about CMP and MIPA.
Yep.
Danny, if you could flip to the plan that shows the restoration, of the, next one? Yeah, so, what we flagged on that, if you scroll down a little bit more, so kind of in the bottom right-hand corner, up a little bit, right in there, is the area for the turtle
the
restoration.
turtle, yeah, the turtle nesting area.
Nesting area that has been worked out with Natural Heritage.
And if I may, that's a turtle nesting area that you're going to improve.
Correct.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
Have they already started nesting there? Because I'm getting confused, 'cause remember there was a site where there's some,
It's
that's
way away.
way up higher?
that's-
Okay.
So
That's where
there's another nesting area that was constructed in Groton on Nate Nutting Road.
that-
Yeah, and
That's
that's already done.
That one's
Yes.
done, yes.
Yeah.
There's
So,
something very familiar about that space, I feel like I've walked that.
There's
This
piles
one
up
here. Yeah, we and I
here
walked
that
it.
they've been nesting in.
That's, Piles, where, can you show me on
Way
that?
up,
Up
right
here.
there. Right
Oh,
there.
that's where we've seen, okay,
Yes,
'cause I
that's
saw
where
those
we've
pile-
seen them.
But isn't there a pile over here, or am I hallucinating?
Well,
Something
that was
like
disturbed, that was gonna be part of the drainage system.
Okay.
That's why we chose it.
'Cause it's
The
already
nesting
disturbed?
area,
It's near
been
the existing
disturbed.
gravel way.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
that's where the good soil is that the turtles like.
yeah.
And
Do
Clean
you,
that.
do you guys have plans
You know
for
the
the,
same.
you know, the mounding plans with the, you know?
On the,
for
on the Groton one we do, I haven't seen the design yet on this one.
I haven't seen those, no.
Yeah, but I don't think we have the design on
Would that
this
come
one
from
yet.
Dan Wells?
Yeah, it
Okay.
will,
So
yeah,
that would come from LEC Environmental.
yeah.
Okay.
Now, can I go back to the MIPA
Yes,
conversation?
yeah.
So the expectation, I guess, of this board would that we would get a written response from me, but not an oral response.
Yes, oh, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Comment
you'll-
and whatnot.
And I mean, I would think for your purposes, you can include that as a
Yeah.
as a condition.
Yeah, so that would just be a condition, because MIPA is,
It's independent
it's
of-
independent of
yeah.
this, but they can't start the work until
Yeah.
they have that anyways, so it would just be put in
Yeah.
as a condition.
Just trying to
The only
double
thing I
check it.
have on the MIPA, thing, so this is one big MIPA submission that you
It
guys
is.
had, Groton and this one?
That's right.
Okay, so that was where I was misunderstanding,
Oh.
because usually, I didn't know that this included the northern portion of Groton.
Yeah, it does.
But now that I think about it, no segmentation.
My discussions with you, same issue.
Yeah.
Okay, it's because of the
I've come into
segmentation
this
portion.
late, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really recall why the consultant we hired decided to do it that way.
Because of segmentation, they require that even
Yeah.
if it's in different towns, anything that could be developed has to be done
Yeah.
at once.
Yep.
And because my thing was, I didn't know that, and I was saying this is a 10% change, so automatically it'll
Yeah.
drag you into that change. But since it's
Yeah.
a whole, it's kind of different.
Yeah,
now.
it is.
Ah.
But in any event, so I don't think we have
Can
an
actually be
issue there.
non-contiguous land, but go ahead.
So in any event, that's where we're at. The other thing, I do have a question that I wanted to ask, but I have kept copious notes over the last several years of everything that we've talked about and everything we've agreed to, most of which should find their way into a series of special conditions. So I was gonna actually do a letter reciting everything that you really need to be thinking about, and I'll get it to you.
That'd be helpful.
That would be very helpful as to, as I wasn't here from that
Right.
beginning portion
Yeah,
of this. So
and then
it would be very
I really think we could, kind of get to the point of wrapping this up. I do have a question about the duplexes, though. Your bylaw is very interesting. If I understand it correctly, Panther Place is the only other development thus far that's been approved under this section of the bylaw, am I correct?
no,
There's two others.
there's two others.
Yeah.
So, but in the same zoning district as we are?
No.
No?
Never been one in your zoning district.
So, did the thing that's interesting when you read the verbiage about the housing types, and it says one can have single-family homes, two-family homes, or multi-unit homes, provided that the special permit requirements for the land use district are satisfied. Now, it doesn't say provided that a special permit has been granted for the housing type, the requirements. To me, that means that you go to section 3.4B, subsections 1 through 6, that recite what you're supposed to be thinking about, and so long as that's addressed, it could be incorporated into a definitive plan decision. Because when you also read the bylaw in its totality, it is attempting to efficiently deal with the approval process, and yet the way the special permit is for two-family homes in this district, you would need to go to the zoning board of appeals, which makes no sense.
That's the difference.
Jan, up for Jan.
Sorry. No.
So,
Got excited.
Sorry, Danny.
Sorry, I got excited.
It's a rare
Oh, no.
I haven't seen, did you amend the bylaw?
Yes.
So the one that's online still says it the old way.
Yes, but if you go to the new
That's probably why he's holding his
under
hand
the
up.
new laws of our zoning bylaws,
Yeah.
that was changed. It shows the new.
Good, that makes sense. I have no problem filing for a special permit to you guys. It made absolutely no sense to me to start with another board that has had no involvement.
That was handled in the recent past.
But that having been said, you
That's
might,
even old news. We did it before.
you might wanna look at that language, because I actually
The table
don't
change.
think,
We figured this out.
I actually don't think you have to do the special permit. I personally think the way it's worded.
Let me
So
go
you
back.
might wanna change
Hold on a minute.
that language.
What was
Oh,
the
Just,
number?
3.4
we issued a special permit for
B
the Aho
subsections 1.
but that was A2.
Oh, forgive me.
Haven't done one in A1.
So it would
But
still.
we already
it would
checked
still
the
be the
fact
same
that
thing.
they still were, the authority having a special
Yeah,
permit.
Yeah.
it would still be the same way.
Even in the old regulations, they didn't need the new changes to enable that. That's what I'm getting at.
But if you look at section 10.1.6,
That's what I was trying to look for.
Okay, that's.
you'll see what
That's
I
where it
mean. It
sits
doesn't
underlying.
say provided there's been a
Yeah.
grant. It says provided that the requirements are met. You might want to tighten that language as a housekeeping thing someday.
We like it the way it is.
That's free advice.
Yeah. You
If I
know,
understand you correctly, Counselor, the argument you're making is that as long as you satisfy the actual requirements of the permit, you don't actually have to physically get the approved.
well,
permit.
yeah, you know, from a design standpoint.
Is that true, Danny?
And it depends. It
That
really does depend. I have no
Intent
problem
for
though.
verbiage, yeah.
it depends on the verbiage. I understand how you can
Yeah.
read that, but based on what Ken has just told me is on the Shaker Mill Pond project, which is the same.
Same zoning district?
No,
No.
different zoning, but they still had the same
Same
kind
as
of
in
requirement
duplexes.
for duplexes.
The duplexes, and they
Yep.
did a special permit.
Yes.
Then I have no problem doing it.
Yeah.
So I'll file that, you know, within the week. Yeah, and that's easier, but you might want to look at that language and
noted.
ask Dave Janeski to tighten it
I
up.
already have it highlighted, and I will make a note of that.
Yeah, because somebody in the future could, you know, give you some issue. So in any event,
Which
that's
one?
everything that I had to say.
Hundred housing
Well,
types,
thank you,
right?
Counselor.
Page 119, 10.1.6.
Okay. We got our overview.
Yeah.
Now, we got the slot. Okay, so what I want to ask you is, can we identify the most important open issues
Yeah.
that the counselor hasn't been able to resolve in the previous 20 minutes? So what?
Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Can I go back to that paragraph just for a second, Mr.
Sure.
Chairman?
Although it becomes
The
academic,
second
Ken,
sentence in this paragraph is the important one.
Yeah.
Go back, you got it in front of you?
No, I don't know.
So, we had a ruling on this before from town council and from the building commission, and it's the second sentence, it basically says, the subdivision approval, which is under the control of the plan, doesn't say this, it's under the control of the planning board, but it is,
Thanks, Nate.
and special permit site plan requirements shall be fulfilled concurrently in one proceeding to the extent practicable. So it was interpreted that,
Yeah.
because of that second sentence, we were the special permit granting authority for the
Special.
Which makes
for the
sense,
duplex.
which makes
That's why that
sense.
sentence was there. So,
But the thing that I would change, if it were me,
Instead of
is
saying.
are satisfied.
Yeah, yep.
yeah, right.
You know, it should say provided, you know, that there was a grant of a
Right,
special
that the special
permit.
permit's been granted.
Yeah.
Right, that makes more
You know.
sense, yeah.
Got it, thanks.
3,001
Sorry about
pages
that,
of
Mr.
zoning
Chairman.
bylaws.
But I'm happy to submit, it's no big deal, I've got the application,
I'd
and,
rather do it.
well,
Yes.
and I can, God knows I can put together verbiage extolling the virtues of this off the top of my head. I believe the only outstanding issues, other than the waivers, are the business about the drainage, which again, I've requested a waiver on that. MIPA and CMP, which I've given you information on. And I think we've beaten this thing into the ground. I honestly do think we've touched on
So-
everything else.
And forgive me, because I often struggle with the technical aspects, but there were questions about some of the previous infrastructure being recycled, being the previous, you know, with the roughed out roads, and then DPW saying, no, there's some that we really want new, we don't want crossovers, we want it to be aligned correctly with the new road. And I know you spoke earlier about the 300 feet, but I don't know if that encompassed all that.
So all the water will be new.
All of it's gonna be new, so
Yeah.
it's all resolved now.
It is
No, it's not. Okay, that's what I'm getting at. Let's, I wanna make sure, because we
Yes.
have clarity here, okay.
Yes, that's it.
Please.
So what I would, first what I would want to do is have Jim
Right.
just kind of go through what he, you know, the important things that
Good.
have been discussed. There was a DPW meeting, a meeting at the DPW
Yeah.
office on September 26th, right around there. I forget if
Yeah.
the exact date. It was
think it was the
26th or
23rd.
20, something like
Thought it
that.
was the 23rd.
I could not be present. I was sick that day, so Jim and Dan and Matt were actually present at that meeting for for that, so they can speak a little bit more about the other concerns that came up during that meeting, as well as part of the peer review. So I think the first thing I would do is to turn it over to Jim for him to give,
Good.
his, what he sees that is most importantly that needs to be discussed from this.
Is there any way we can enlarge Jim's image on the
Yes.
screen?
Yep, I just need to stop sharing.
That's what I want to see. Welcome, Mr. Thorpe.
Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Good
great.
evening.
So I guess we can start with, the drainage. One thing that we did discuss, outside the planning board meetings, was the two existing stormwater management areas.
Yeah.
Near Wright Road. There's existing storage management area 1A and 1. So those ones are, like I said, they're existing and they're planning on reusing them for their design. We had concerns about them reusing it because based on our field site visit, we noticed that there was standing water in there. So we requested that they do additional test pits, and they did do many additional test pits for 1A. They didn't do any for 1, but they have some test pits nearby.
Restoration.
So the ones for 1A appeared to show adequate separation of groundwater, but we still felt that they needed to be remediated if they were going to be reused. So the applicant has updated their plans to remediate both stormwater management areas, basically excavating 2 feet of soil out and replacing it with sand, 2 feet of sand, so that they have good free draining material. And that should give us, the separation of groundwater, for 1A. And then for 1, like I said, there weren't additional test pits actually in 1, but they're nearby. Based off the nearby test pits, it appears that there probably would be adequate separation of groundwater. But it's hard to tell because this site has ledge every, randomly throughout the project. So if they were to take a test pit there, they could potentially hit ledge, they could potentially not, you don't know. So it could be okay, but it might not be. So that's, kind of what's happening in that area. The other basin, the new basin, which is up to the north of the site, they did many more additional test pits in that area as well. Under existing condition, that's a very sloped area. So where they did test pits show at least 4 feet to bedrock or water, seasonal high groundwater. But as it kind of slopes to the right, the lowest point, there isn't a test pit there. So it's kind of hard to tell, but most likely it would probably have adequate separation of groundwater, because it does seem like it is kind of all sloping to the right in terms of either bedrock or groundwater.
Consistently.
Sloping down, I mean. So it does seem like, we're moving in the right direction in terms of drainage and in the basin design. And, we've gone back and forth about drainage areas and hydrocad calculations to support that. And I think we're at a good point where, we finally come to an agreement on their calculations as well. So, that's kind of, the other part of it is, there is a regulation that there's supposed to be perk testing within it, to confirm that it does, drain the Rawls rate. So, I know that's a town standard, but not necessarily a state standard. The state standard is, you know, whatever soil type it is, you can use a Rawls rate for infiltration purposes, which is what they're doing. So, they haven't used the perk test or any infiltration testing. You know, we may suggest that as part of like a condition of approval, if we're, you know, still hesitant about some of these areas, is that like maybe post-construction, they do an infiltration test to confirm
Better know
that
before
it,
then.
will infiltrate properly. But I think that's kind of where we're at in terms of drainage. You know, if anyone wants to.
I think Frank wants to comment, Jim.
If I may, Jim, just real quick on that, I just want to say that we didn't just dig a test pit and look at the soil and assume an infiltration rate. What we did was, in lieu of a percolation test, we instead sent the soil out for testing at a Yankee testing lab in Worcester. So we have laboratory sieve analyses for the drainage. So I look at that professionally as a higher standard of infiltration rate determination. A percolation test doesn't quite directly translate, but a sieve analysis is what is kind of the Mass DEP stormwater standard for infiltration.
And you've got that.
And we have that and provided that in our calculations.
Okay, thank you.
Matt, are you good? Are you guys okay with that?
I think that's pretty reasonable.
Okay.
And I agree that that is kind of a step up of what's normally required for these types of projects, so I think, it sounds like Jim's also. Oh,
Sorry, can you just come
want
on?
me to come up?
Yeah, come on, because I'm gonna have a couple more questions for you as we're going.
Sure.
Thanks, Matt.
Yes, yeah, no, I think everything that was just said, I agree with. I don't have any major concerns right now with stormwater.
So the only thing I would raise as a concern for myself, and I just may be wearing extra, is just the no test pits up in the existing basin 1A, or number 1. My hesitancy there is, you know, as Jim did say, that there is possibility for ledge. And we actually just ran into this issue with Air Solar 2, where they installed an infiltration basin on top of ledge, and now it doesn't infiltrate. So, that's a concern that I have. Is, you know, yes, we did some the test bits were done all the way down here, but none were actually done within the existing basin. I would prefer that that there is a test pit that's done in that area, just so that worry that I have of a previous project not occurring. And because you're counting that towards your infiltration, right?
Yes,
So-
that's included in the whole system, so we can
And that would affect
get
your
them out there
numbers.
and take care of that.
Yeah, we can
So
provide an
that's the
additional.
resolution.
Yeah.
We'll get that done.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I agree with you on that. And that basin is, just from my understanding, I think there's the catch basins on the street discharge to it, as well
Yes.
as,
Yeah.
I think the last 2 catch basins on
Yeah.
Stratton Hill
Yep.
discharge.
And just, the topography's off on this plan,
Yeah.
but that basin that's between the low basin and that middle basin there that we're talking about, that's actually higher than where we found 2 feet plus of separation in ledge. So I'm
Ledge rises and falls.
ledge rises and falls, but what we've found with our test pits consistently in this site is that in general, it's falling towards Long Pond, given all the other testing that's been done out there, the really good stuff that we can't use that drives me nuts, because it's on the wrong side of the power lines.
Yeah. But it is over-designed too. I mean, it's designed to.
So what the intent of that lower basin was to basically, I mean, my numbers are gonna be round here, so forgive me, but it was something like 2 acres of impervious with the original double barreled road configuration, and we're down to about 1 acre of impervious that's coming to that. So that's it's it's seeing, essentially 50% of the flow that it was originally designed and constructed for.
And I think that's smart for all of us in the future. Like to have.
Given what's been going on the last couple of months,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I also want to note, that I've seen water in that basin, but most of the time, it's dry. Over the, well, when I did TAS pits out there was no issue walking around in it. The last probably dozen times I've been out on the site, the basin has been dry. I've been out there after.
The upper basin or the lower one?
The lower basin.
Where all the test pits are.
Primarily, that's where all the test pits are.
Empirically, this year, yes. Last year, I would say no.
So, last year,
Yeah, so, we're neighbors, so we.
Right.
And I-
yeah.
You gotta get all the silt out of there,
But
once they clean it out.
Last year,
Sand, it's gonna change everything.
Yeah, they excavate the top 2 feet, he said.
Yeah.
last year, one of the issues was rainstorm after rainstorm
Yes.
after rainstorm,
last
back
year
to
it
back.
was.
And the design standards for an infiltration basin, is drain 72 hours from when flow stops, is when it needs to be empty. So if flow keeps hitting a basin over and over and over again, that 72-hour timeline doesn't start until
The last one.
the last one. So
Agreed.
you can continuously have water in an infiltration basin and have it function.
Yeah.
So that's part of what I've been seeing out there.
I guess one point too, I know last year with all the rain and also last year we noticed that the basin overflowed. Obviously there was a lack of maintenance for quite a while since it was sitting for years. And Frank mentioned one of the unique points about the basin is usually it all falls downhill toward the pond, like the other, the larger basin generally.
It falls, yeah.
Yeah, if it overflows toward the pond, but in that spot, it actually is, downgrade of the pond, so it can't overflow. So it's very important, even if that is over-designed, that is a good thing, just in the event that if there is a lack of maintenance or just one of those storms like last year, that doesn't happen, 'cause that would all go down Standish Ave uncontrolled.
That's what it's been cheating off the standard for
Yeah.
years, exactly.
Right.
And it could be
It
a
always
combination of
did.
things.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it always
In-
did.
In a perfect world, we would do a drain pipe down
right down
Standish
the
Ave,
street.
but since that is a private road, we
Turns the
can't
corner.
do that.
Yeah. And one thing, so water has been sheeting down basically the gravel road bed
Yeah,
without much of any drainage structures to capture it. Once this is constructed, there'll be curb, gutter, series of catch basins
that'll catch it.
that will direct the water where it was always intended to go.
And the down end of Standish Road, you can tell, it scrubs out fairly
Yeah.
heavily down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only other things I had questions about were these catch basins, are they being removed?
So those ones there, I believe, are being repositioned. That's where the new road is going in, and
They'll be positioned appropriately. for the
yeah,
new road.
so those are as shown on
So they'll be
sheets.
removed.
So that's the right hand, if you're looking at up to the property, the new road will be where the right-hand road is, and it'll be widened toward the left.
Yes,
Yeah, so we're
No, it's with the left.
It's right here.
Have I got it
Well,
wrong?
as you're looking at the edge of the road, it'll be, yeah,
we're those two catch basins at the bottom of the hill there
yeah.
are going to be repositioned so that they're where they need to be in the gutter line.
Because, they're currently in the other road.
yes, yeah.
So my concern with that is those catch basins and that sewer manhole and that piping has not been maintained for 20 years. Who knows what condition that's actually in?
Well, but it's gonna be
Moved anyway.
dug up and moved, essentially.
Dug up and moved.
Yeah, so,
Yes, but not the pipe. I mean, the existing piping is my issue. So this is what my biggest concern with this project is the existing utilities. I really don't agree with the reusing of the existing utilities as it's been there for 20 years, not functioning. at all. No maintenance,
But
nothing.
I don't think we're using any of it at this
Well,
point.
so we're
There
using
is.
a little bit of the drainage and, some of the
The
sewer
sewer,
piping.
but the sewer, we're
Which-
gonna satisfy Matt. We are, actually have already had a guy out there that did a pressure test on it. And if we can't satisfy Matt, then we'll just install new.
So preferably, so my biggest concern with that was there's always something that can go wrong when you have kind of a wonky,
There is.
I hate to say wonky plan, but kind of an unusual plan, and I appreciate, I guess, being creative and trying to reuse what's there and try not make it a bigger project, but at the same time, I think there's definitely, I agree with Danny, there are some legitimate concerns. I think something can go wrong with trying to follow what's.
And I don't
if that makes
disagree with
sense.
you. What I'd like to suggest is we'll provide testing. If we can't satisfy you, we'll just put in new.
I mean, there's really no precedent, I guess, to fall back on with this, so it's, I guess, my take on it was if the planning board had comments to, I guess, the last thing I really wanted to do here was, I guess, to make a decision on kind of an unprecedented topic. I mean, my concern is, you know, it's like Danny said, it's been in the ground for 20 years, and I think, you know, strange way, it might actually be easier for you to just do everything new, to not have, I guess,
Definitely.
this almost in the way of your other work.
I'm gonna make a suggestion, and I'm gonna save Bob money. You don't have to do the testing. I'm gonna make a motion that this planning board agree that all the utilities in the site be new, not reuse any utilities in the site.
Well, you'd have a decision. I mean, if you want that, go ahead and do it. If he doesn't like that, then perhaps he'll
Thinking it through.
do something else.
Thinking
you
it
know.
through. too.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm thinking, no, and I'll be honest with you, the reason I'm thinking it through is, grates, when you say all
Why don't I
utilities.
second it so we can then talk
Yeah.
about it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I second it.
yeah, thank you.
Discussion.
No, you caught me,
My experience is similar with Matt's. Despite the fact that you try to reuse something, it'll get broken, just moving it out of the ground, training it around, trying to reseal the seals, everything will dry out. The correct concrete that you use will be dried out and cracked. The non-shrink grouts will be no good, whatever the case might be. The whole thing will have to be reset to new grade. So my anticipation is that it goes in new, you put in new product, you put it where you want it, it gets tested accordingly, and the DPW is happy, and we have a new product that no one can question later on, that we made a decision that says, wait a minute, we helped them reuse something that was old. I don't want to be in that category.
And this is going to eventually be an approved
It's gonna be a
road,
town
accepted
approved
road
road.
by the town.
So I
Right,
want
DPW would have full control of this.
Right, I want DPW to
But
be
I
able
don't
to
think
walk
we're
up.
talking about very much of it.
That's so little, then we don't have a discussion, let's just do it.
So if we go to sheet 5, the catch basins at the end of the road that we've been talking about are called out as to be replaced. We are,
But you're reusing the existing lines, the piping.
right,
That's an issue for me because that's been, I mean, if you go out there, those grates are full to the top with silt, and which tells me that that pipe is probably also filled to the top with silt and stone and gravel.
Well, I agree with Ken, though. Let's just simplify it. Vote
Do
on it.
it.
yeah.
Because really, as an issue,
You don't want it.
I'm thoroughly sick of trying to save 15
Okay,
feet
so
of
any
pipe.
further discussion before we go to
You
vote?
know?
Any further discussion?
I just think it's a point where we're micromanaging, and there are professionals who have permits and will be on site to accept these things. I would leave it to the on-site inspections by DPW, regardless of what the outcome is. They have to own it at the end. I wouldn't, I don't think it's for the board to be that granular.
That makes sense to DPW. We just wanted to obviously not make it a hard decision if there was an opinion on it, but, you know, our opinion, DPW is definitely, there's more that can go wrong, I guess, trying to reuse old than, you know, obviously starting over new. I think that would make everyone more comfortable.
All right. Any other comments? Ken, how do you vote?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Nathan?
No.
Jeff?
Yes.
Chair votes aye.
Okay, well, that simplifies stuff, but thank you.
No, we don't have to go fiddling around at the plan. to find What's
Exactly.
being reused, what's being not reused. Come on.
That lower basin has been the thorn in the side of people in that neighborhood for 20 years.
Forever, yeah.
It's been the thorn in your side.
Yeah,
I know,
it has.
because you've modified the road, you've done skirting,
Yeah.
you've done all that stuff. It
Just
just sounds to me like it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, as long as
Also
we don't have to
recognize-
fool around with the basin, I'm
Yeah.
I
happy.
also,
They call it Santa Elf Pond.
I think it's in everyone's interest to remove potential areas of controversy that could create surface area
That's right.
for, okay, thank you.
All right, so the next thing I turn it back over to Jim for any additional.
And it's Thorn, I apologize to you, Jim, I'm sorry, Space Cadet.
No worries. No worries.
If you would continue, sir.
So now that I guess we're in agreement that all new utilities should be used, I know, the DPW and I had expressed concerns about the utility layout because they were reusing existing pipes. So now that we are using new pipes, I think the applicant should relook at laying out,
Yes,
the sewer and water lines to make more sense.
we can
Right.
make adjustments, yeah.
That
And
makes-
that's easy to
Per-
tweak.
That's right. Once we've cleared it, it makes sense to just get it right. Yep. Okay, good. What else we got, Jim?
Let's see. I mean, those were kind of the major ones.
Yeah, I didn't see any
you know,
other stuff.
I think the
There
only.
are some,
There was some stuff.
there are some other, comments. Like,
Yeah.
I'd like Danny to lead it if he could.
and like in terms of the layout, I know last planning board meeting, we weren't sure if, the 3-unit, shared driveway was, allowed. I think there was, a rule about 30 feet separation between different driveways. So, I just wanna make sure that the layout is okay with everyone, I think.
Yeah, so they're requesting a waiver from that, and our biggest concern was, coming from the fire department, and now I feel that since that's addressed, I feel like I'm good with the common driveways as well.
And if so the width of the driveways was increased to the size of your common driveway standard.
Great.
And as well, we have agreed to provide the sprinklers at those,
In
at those
those
4
units.
common driveway units.
Yep. Great.
And then, so there was never, like a water design or wastewater design reports, that were, originally requested as part of the application. So I don't know where we're at that point, if, they still need to be submitted to DPW or, where we're at is okay.
Like the water usage and sewer.
He's got that.
I don't believe we've gotten a full,
So there have been sewer numbers on the plans, and there hasn't been a separate report. And I remember when I first had started on this, some of this, I had been going back and forth either with, I would have to double check the name, and,
Mark Whittle.
and it had ended up in the DPW's court. This was in the COVID years.
sure,
So, so it may have, fallen by the wayside, but just to confirm,
But I think we
Some
did provide
elevations in water.
flows. and-
we provide, so
Yeah, and I-
sewer flows were
Yeah,
provided,
yeah,
yes.
and I know that, years ago, Mark Wetzel and I had gone over, there was sufficient flow for water in this area, and
But if you need a formal memo with the current layout, just to close the loop,
If you could, just because this is a whole new submission, that was
Yes.
after Mark Wetzel and whoever it was that you guys were speaking
although
of.
it was with the
Just-
preliminary
Yeah.
plan for this,
Okay,
this
so
site.
it's just so that, because this is part of a whole new submission. I mean, it's the definitive subdivision, so it's a new sub- So just a memo that we could have so that the
Okay,
plan, I
that's
mean, the
fine.
DPW could
You're not
review.
pumping up the extra half mile of the road either.
No, that's right.
We're not doing the massive pump station
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
far end that I couldn't understand why they were doing that.
So,
For
Yeah.
water and sewer, just kind of two big picture things, since the initial approval way back in the day, so Wright Road was just a dead end water main,
Yes,
but that
that's
is
now been looped through to.
yeah,
correct. So that improves, the water aspect.
So
yeah, it
I
does.
think some of my numbers might reflect that original,
Dead end.
Right road, dead end, so if you have any updated pressure information or flow information up
Well,
there,
can't we
that would
just
be helpful.
request
Well, so that's
flow
where we-
test at the bottom
That's
of the
ex-
hill? I mean,
So that's
just-
exactly where I was going with this. That was one of the condition, or one of the proposed conditions of approval.
Okay.
I would prefer that those happen prior to approval, just so that we know that the flow tests came out normal.
I agree, it would just be good to have that on paper. Any-
Yeah.
And if you're gonna sprinkle, you might have to figure out some sort of supplemental pump or
Mm-hmm.
something, we'll see.
Yeah.
You can sprinkle buildings, you gotta hold pressure in there or
Yeah,
something
do you
like that,
guys
so.
do a separate meter on sprinklers when units are sprinkled?
We do, yes.
Okay. So I'll talk to you about that.
Mhm.
And I'll arrange for fire flow testing.
Yeah, okay.
And you'll just have to schedule with Matt and Dan,
Yes.
just
Yes.
to,
Yeah.
and the water
Um,
department is too.
I've typically been using Hydrotech.
Oh,
I
perfect.
don't know if there's someone else who you deal with, but.
I feel like
um,
that's
they've
who
been-
everyone uses.
They've been great.
I didn't use them.
We've
Oh,
done
yeah.
our own fire flow tests in-house.
Insurance company wanted, whoever that was.
I don't know, maybe a recent one, but, yeah, I do remember looking back, Frank, years ago.
Yeah.
When we were doing that and looking at both scenarios in our modeling, I don't remember,
This
it's
was-
so long ago now.
Yeah,
I don't
this-
think we ever closed the loop totally.
This was a design when we were,
Going past
we
the
were
power
still
lines.
going past the
Yeah.
power lines.
Yeah, which
For
made
that,
the
so,
higher
yeah.
elevation.
You're
which
probably
made it
going another
very
30 or 40 vertical feet
Yes.
over the space of a half a mile.
Right.
Yeah.
Ask
Right.
you
It's a
question
fair
if
amount,
I
it's a
can
fair,
ask a
yeah, it's
question.
But I would think you could take the
Fair amount of head
information
there
you've
you have
got
to deal
and put
with.
together a memo.
Yeah,
I mean, it would stand to reason if it met it before, it's gonna meet it
And
this time.
I will coordinate testing with DPW and a contractor, and we can close that loop.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
It would be good to just have all that on paper, so
Yeah,
everyone can
okay.
reference that.
Yeah.
In the sewer, I know the pump station aspect was brought up, so DPW has a project. We actually put it out for bid and awarded it at the last select board meeting.
Oh, you did?
That's for
I
right,
read that in the, I read about it in the materials.
Yeah.
So you're working with the,
so this is we have to upgrade the pump
Yeah.
station just because the equipment's so old. So we already had that in the queue,
Mhm.
but the way we designed it, it's gonna look exactly like it does today. The initial design, so when we met last year and the resident was here and he was very concerned, that was a different design. And he had some pretty legitimate concerns.
Mhm.
We've corrected those, and he seems to be happy, so
Mm.
and the applicant's gonna participate in the cost of this plant also?
that's what we're
Yeah,
requesting.
that's what we're
That,
intending, yeah.
in reading through the materials, I
Yeah.
saw that, that's just wanna make sure. Everyone hears that too, that,
Yeah.
at one point, you were gonna build
We
a
were gonna
station,
do our own,
but, yeah.
if Mr. Henderson had a concern, but assuming that his concerns are alleviated, which I would think they would be, it's gonna be absolutely no different, then we're fine with helping out the department financially.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the DPW's design of that pump station included
The site,
Future build.
Yes.
future build-out, which included our site.
yeah,
Exactly. Although the surface level, what it would look like, would look the same as today.
Yeah.
That's what we're
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
do, and that's, Dan and I met with
yeah.
him and his attorney.
Yeah.
And they seem to be happy, didn't have any concerns.
And I think just as part of the decision, that would, it would be a condition that,
As long as it gets worked out, yeah, that's
Mhm.
right.
I think we would just, that would just be put into the decision so
Yeah.
that it's all, buttoned up.
Ken, you had something.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a little clarification regarding Mr. Henderson. In my humble opinion, it's not just Mr. Henderson who had a concern, it was the neighborhood that had a concern. So from the very beginning, the neighborhood has been questioning whether we did the right calculations, DPW had the right calculations to accept that extra flow.
Yeah,
And that, they used the stump station, that was like a secondary issue, but the concern in the neighborhood is also that any development in the neighborhood might overstress the system that was in the neighborhood. So I want to make it clear that DPW is going to provide the information to us that there will be no overstress in the neighborhood, not just whether one person who happens to have a pump station on his land is the person that's concerned. We're trying to answer a concern of the Wright Road neighborhood, that this project can easily be, taken on to the existing, they replaced the new sewer pump station is what I'm getting at. So that's what I'd like to keep the conversation away from one individual and broaden it
Yeah.
to the neighborhood in general who has concerns about that. Thank you.
A little technical question. I was just curious that with all these changes, do any of the units need E1s under the current plans, or have we
Yes.
eliminated those? There's
No,
two.
so the units in the, so in the back corner,
Way up on the right.
way
if
up,
I
the units
recall.
way up in the right, so those
The downgrade.
Right there.
21, 22, 23, and 24 need E1 units.
And they don't,
Because we looked at grading to bring those units up, and we'd be chasing grading or retaining walls into Long Pond.
Yeah.
It was gonna, so.
So
the-
they'll have
the-
little
This
bumps.
limits the disturbance to outside of jurisdictional areas.
Floors, but
and we refer to E1, that's a product line, but what you're
Correct.
saying is a forced main, a forced sewer system for each house.
A yes, and
Individual one.
there is an individual unit and force main for each house.
Yep.
For unit 21, 22, 23, and 24.
And may I ask, I can't see from here without.
Yeah, you showed it on the
They're just gonna be
plan.
brought up to the street and leave by gravity?
Yes, so the current layout, currently tying into an existing pipe, which we'll be addressing.
Yeah.
So force main from 24 comes up and into a manhole,
Got it.
23 into a manhole.
This one comes this way.
This one comes directly in and then directly in.
And then from that point, gravity will take
You
care of
know,
it?
Yep.
I'll need to double check what I'm saying. It might just be 23 and 24. I was overzealous in
Yeah,
my.
20.
Because you called it out only on these.
Correct,
drawings.
yeah, so I only called it out for 23 and 24.
Right.
So, yeah, it's just that unit what would have a grinder pump.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I prefer grinder pump over, because
Yep, it's like Kleenex.
Yeah.
Yes.
Coke, Kleenex, it's like-
Well, because the problem is I design around EE1 because they're great to work with, and then the contractors build on Liberty, which is also a fine pump.
Yep.
But they are not as good to work with as far as getting design calcs that towns like to see.
Mhm.
So.
All right. There were some additional, comments that came up, like the easement about from National Grid and
Yes.
AT&T.
Yes.
If that was going to be abandoned or, but
It's
There's
not
two.
going to be, so, it
Oh.
is an active, I did run the title again.
Wait a minute.
The AT&T is active?
We're talking about two easements.
Yes.
Two easements, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
so the AT&T easement, that's fairly recent.
What?
And it was
it runs like somewhere right around here. It's,
No, it runs diagonally across the
Right.
side.
it goes diagonally.
Yeah.
I think we just ran over it.
yeah, I'm trying to
Yeah.
find
So-
right
We
there.
designed, we worked the units around that easement so that it doesn't have to be, we don't have to address it. I do not believe that they would be inclined to abandon it.
It's abandoned right down the street from my house. Guy bought
Yeah,
it,
but
and he literally bought the switching building from them. and-
I'm more than happy to approach them on it, but, there actually is an easement that was signed with them less than 20 years ago. So I tend to believe that for whatever reason they want it, I don't know for what, it doesn't go anywhere with
They're
this
not running
one.
any fiber.
But does
It goes,
the
it goes,
easement give
it
you
goes.
the ability to build on it or anything like
Well,
that?
we aren't building on
Yeah,
it.
Well,
this,
because doesn't it run through? I mean, the road. Where's the problem is you can't really see it. See it because
Oh,
the
it
road.
runs
So
across the
It
road.
crosses the road.
Yeah,
Does the
and,
easement give you the
yes,
ability
yeah,
to do
and
that?
that we can,
Okay.
yes.
But there are no structures proposed.
There are no structures.
Yeah,
in the
but
easement.
I just know with utility companies sometimes some easements don't allow you any of that.
Yeah, no, that because it's subsurface,
it's got a Kmart.
And
It's fine.
Isn't one of the houses right here?
Not on that easement.
but it's not on the easement.
Okay,
We
okay,
kept
just,
it off it.
and does it allow grading and, so I think I would just need a copy of the easement to see that it shows me,
It's wide open.
okay. I just wanna make
It's
sure.
very wide open.
And then the second easement is the national.
Yeah, but
and
that's,
that we
that's
aren't
up here,
touching,
which
so we
we're
don't-
not even touching.
But there
We
was a
aren't
weird, there
going
was a
near it.
comment, wait, hold on, there was
Kind
one
of
comment.
important, though. I didn't read the
26A.
comment, but I
If
know
you look
it
at
is.
26, Jim noted that even though,
Doesn't
I
have-
can't even read this, it's so
Yeah,
small.
It's 26A.
Okay.
I got it.
No permanent structures are proposed within, okay, we got that, but there was something about the New England Power one.
The approval shall be provided prior to construction from National Grid.
Yes, for work
MC,
within,
yeah.
But we aren't
but
doing.
there isn't any work in it, so
There
it's
isn't
it's
any
moot
work
at this
in it.
point.
So
So that's moot?
Yeah.
No, I don't believe it is moot.
That's,
They're not
I
doing
don't,
any
I don't
work
know
in
what he
National Grid.
said, but I don't, well, if
We
we're gonna
recommend
give
that-
the land to somebody, we have to know that we can even, where's the thought of the Mass Wildlife begin? At the south side of the easement or the north side of the easement?
Stop right there.
So you're saying Mass Wildlife wants it to take the land from the south edge of the easement, right?
I would have to go to the lot plan. I actually forget how the parcels are laid out. Can you go to the lot plan, Danny? Yeah.
This one's the beginning of it, this is the, upper portion, here we go.
So keep going down, scroll down slowly. Oh,
Other thing, scroll up.
do you have,
See, this is the
There it is,
top.
right there.
No, it's right here, because here's the
Okay, yeah.
power easement.
That's the top of it or the south of it? What I'm
That's the top
asking,
of it, that's the top of it.
right, that's the north edge.
Yep.
But if Mass Wildlife is taking it from the south edge, or we're giving it to them, you're giving it to them, someone has to grant
yeah, so-
easement, the
would
power
be the
company
south.
has to grant them a way to get across that easement.
so it's the south edge, so,
Open space 2 is the south edge, correct?
yeah.
So
Yep,
We-
so right here.
So there has to be a document in place that says that we can put a trail up to the edge of that, and we can send people across it.
Well,
to
my
walk-
deed is going to. We're gifting it to them.
No, they have to give us the right to walk under it and go through it.
Oh, New England Power?
Yes, that's a
We aren't
high,
touching it.
doesn't matter. I don't believe we can go under there without some kind of authorization, or send people under there on a trail.
Listen, I'm more than happy to approach them, but we are not doing any construction.
I heard earlier in the conversation that you were gonna repair the road that's currently up there.
Past,
Past
That they had
there.
permission
just this
for.
right here.
Past
They don't
there.
have permission yet.
No,
New
it's
England
this,
Power
yeah.
has never
No.
given this applicant permission to do that work under the road.
Ken, they're
No,
not,
it's
no,
not
they're not
under the
doing
power
it.
lines,
It's
Ken.
past the power lines.
It's past the
Have
power
to
lines.
pass under the power lines to get to it.
Ken's point is the section between the south and the north side of the easement might need permission from the New England Power Company.
Exactly.
To pass and repass?
Yes,
So
With equipment.
it sounds to me
All
like
that
it's something
stuff.
that has to be looked into.
I mean, I've got their documents.
We
from
can
other
argue it all
projects.
you want.
Yeah, I mean,
We
I'll
gotta
get you
that one cleaned
something.
up.
The one thing
This goes
I
back
do
to the
not
very
believe I
first
need a
plan
trail
looked at.
easement
We've talked
from
about
them.
this.
You know, I don't. You know,
Excuse me?
it's there. I don't believe I need a trail easement from them. It's there. People can walk there now. They do. Hunters do.
I know that, yeah, but that doesn't mean it's right when you put a subdivision in
But
there. and
they
it's
have
not
an
it.
easement on our land.
Correct. You
Yeah,
gave them
power
permission to
lines.
go do anything they want, but
So,
they need to give you permission when you build this out.
well, I'll certainly approach them, but we're not doing any construction under those power lines.
Okay,
So the road that's there now that Dave roughed in, we gave them notice before he did it, and they didn't complain. That's gonna be part of the trail, but we aren't touching it this time around.
okay. I just tell you right now, this is gonna keep coming up and up and up. Let's get it resolved.
There were some other items of condition of approval, like showing horizontal alignment on the radii of the curves on the plans. I think all of those kind of minor technical things should just be done.
You've done those.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think they should just be done, and that way, when we get the approved set of plans, we're not making another construction set with additional stuff on it that the planning board did not approve. I just want to make sure that everything is just,
Yeah.
if it's labeled, if it needs to be labeled, just make sure it's labeled. we talked about the percolation test, so that's okay. The SWIP, so that's gonna come in with the stormwater management plan.
Yep.
But it'll obviously be a condition in there to submit for a NIPD's permit and through the EPA and all that stuff. Providing an illicit discharge compliance statement as part of the stormwater management permit you'll need to do. And as well as the O&M signed by the owner. I think that'll also come with the stormwater management permit. So this eliminates a lot of these conditions of approval ones. The biggest one I also think we need to discuss is blasting. So that's comment 105 and 106. So
About 3 years ago, I had suggested that we would give you a condition language as far as hours of operation and when it could be done, and the fact that everything was staying on site. So I can still do that.
yeah, and then I would just want to make sure, so I would also prefer to get notification, get the pre-blast surveys done when you do the pre-blast surveys of the, surrounded with 300 feet, I think it is, of blasting, that gets submitted to the planning board prior to blasting, as well as submitting after every blast, the blasting reports.
And I think that's statutory, actually.
So typically it's submitted to the fire department,
yeah,
but I want to make sure it gets
That's
submitted
fine.
to myself as well, just so that I can review it, and make sure there's no any issues, because I have run into occasions where there was blasting done and a neighbor made a complaint that, my foundation cracked from this, but they were well outside the 300
Yeah.
feet, and so I just want to make sure I have all the
Yeah.
information in case someone comes in.
Yep, sure.
I had somebody not let us in for a pre-blast, so I gave him a waiver to sign. We were inside that house within minutes.
Yeah.
Funny how that works. Just over an act.
The hydrants being reviewed by the, that's the fire department one, which obviously you guys will be meeting with the fire department before blasting as
We're also
well.
gonna do a water flow
That is-
analysis for the whole project, that's gonna be
Yeah.
part of it too.
Yep. We talked about the no wastewater design, report, because you guys are gonna submit that again, update it, same with the water. We talked about the flow test. There was a comment about existing conditions, but you guys did update the existing conditions onto Standish Road, Wright Road, showing off the additional grades. So there was a comment 126. It says, as-built plans and profiles of previously constructed sewer mains on Wright Road that are proposed to be reused and submitted by the applicant. So those are gonna be eliminated, so
That'll be
that.
eliminated, yeah. I started to pull those together. Those will be eliminated, provided that we're doing the gravity connection, which it sounds like that's the way everything is trending.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that brings up, those pipes exist right now. Would we just, I'll double check the diameter, I think it's 4 or 6 inch. 4 inch, is that something you want flow filled or just left? Given that if it was bigger than, if it was 6 or 8, I would probably recommend flow filling.
I think that's what our DPW specs actually say. They say larger than 6, it's flow flow, but the opposite, it's just a cut and cap on both ends.
Okay,
Concrete like soil and turns to concrete. Nice stuff.
So,
sorry,
They're probably full of junk anyway at this point.
potentially, clarification, flow
They'll have to
flow
clean
is
them up, yeah.
very viscous concrete that you pump into utilities that you don't want to dig up.
So that when they collapse, they don't create.
Right, okay, so great voids,
Voids,
yeah.
But
these are smaller than
standard
that.
practice is you don't do that on smaller pipes, in part because it's almost impossible to pump
Of course.
the concrete into them. You get a little slug
Viscous
at
it is.
each end. And
That's the word.
It's too viscous, right.
The other one was hydrant locations. If you could just meet with the fire department and discuss that and get that on the plan, it'd be before approval.
I have a question about flow fill, and I'm glad I have the DPW here. When a series of pipes, be they sewer, water, whatever, crosses under a main right-of-way, do you guys recommend backfilling with flow fill versus backfilling and compacting with legitimate soils as a better procedure?
So
Because
for,
everything's protected and it doesn't settle the same.
exactly, yeah, there's usually a compaction issue where you have,
Yeah, because over time it settles out and whatnot.
exactly.
Would you consider that for the?
What you can't see is Dan's head shaking up and down. You just can't see, you can hear it, but you can't see it.
Critical crossings, if you're crossing an intersection, you know, where the loop comes around or something like that. Consider it anyway.
We defer to DPW requirements. But I mean, so I have run into issues where towns have not wanted flowable fill around ductile iron pipe because of the acidic nature of the fly ash can lead to problems with that.
Okay, so
with that
let
pipe
let
in
it
the
go,
future.
but, you know, I'm more familiar with electrical crossings and things like that, where, you know, you can get separation and the pipes can pick up stones and
Yeah,
whatnot. Across the pipe.
I personally use it in areas where we're working in kind of a finite existing crossing.
Yeah.
Where we're constructing a road, that's less,
Bring it up.
Sand and gravel bed.
yeah, following good general construction practices, kind of preclude the need for flowable fill in those
Okay, thank you.
situations.
I shouldn't have brought it up.
I still have a water hammer and flowable fill, so you know.
Where are we now, Danny?
So I'm skipping down to 190, because all the other ones were water and sewer stuff, which have already been addressed now that we're doing, you know, the things are being changed, and that they're gonna provide us with a new report, with the report updated.
Danny, can I just, I'm sorry to interrupt, but is Jim still there? Is he, we were working with him and I didn't.
He was
it
underneath the
felt very
plans. Jim, how'd you like another
It
plans,
felt like he
Jim?
was here for the meeting and then we were left without him.
I'm sorry I hijacked you, Jim.
He's used to it, engineer.
I figured he would have spoken up, but I didn't know what was happening. Sorry.
Looks like the 190 is all gonna come as they finish up as they finish out the pieces.
Yeah, so now that
Yeah.
they're gonna be submitting the stormwater management permit with all the additional construction schedule and, you know, all that kind of information, that's okay. They're asking for a, so these are the ones that I think we should discuss as well. The applicant, oh wait, no, that's addressed, because that's the condition of approval, they're gonna submit under stormwater management. Let's get that. Now we're getting to like the newer comments, which are in yellow. So 201A. There is no proposed grading associated with the gravel access driveway to provide for proposed grading to confirm it's not too steep for the maintenance vehicles. The grading revisions have been made, but the proposed slope exceeds the maximum slope allowed by section 7B2A.
So this was one that I wanted to discuss with Jim, just to, we had added, so this is with the grading the basin access off of Wright Road. So I just wanted to double check, because we've kind of followed existing grade, followed that existing roadway in, so I wanted to follow up with Jim just on what specific areas, and we'll get that cleaned up.
Okay.
But is the
I mean,
topography?
the other information is just stuff that they're gonna still address in this next revision, so.
Right, you mean like all the capping and gate valve
Yeah,
things?
exactly.
208A is a water valve comment.
Yeah.
218 will provide a fence. I think
Although, I did want to talk about that. This is a detention area next to a pond.
Yeah.
The pond is deeper. I mean, we'll give you a fence if you want a
And-
fence, but I think it's foolish.
that's right, it's this spot, it's not the other, I was thinking of something else.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it's right next to the pond.
The spot-
Why would we put a fence there?
so the spot where there's 9 or 10 feet.
Can you
is-
pull it up,
Yeah,
please?
if you wanna pull up the.
It's gonna be helpful if we all look at
existing
where it is.
Yeah, so the grading I'm gonna walk back up again.
I get it.
Sorry, John, I know you're the next turn, so if we show, so
There they are, right there.
kind of, yeah, so I believe where Jim is talking is the 256 contour at the top of Basin 1. It drops down to 246 in Basin 1A. So that's kind of the area where there's the big drop. Here, it's, there's 4 feet.
Into
And
the
then
basin.
into this basin, it's about 4 feet. So where to put?
Actually, I can, see, like, which area you're pointing
Oh,
at.
yeah, sorry.
You want to be in the meeting and see it too, Jim?
It's this area.
Okay. So that is actually not where I was talking about putting
Okay.
a fence. Because, so where I was talking about putting a potential fence, I don't know if it's necessarily needed or not, but the proposed basin to the north
Oh,
of
the
it.
one to
The
the north.
big one, further
Yeah,
up.
the one to the north.
Yeah, I know.
This
where
one right here.
So, yeah, that one. If we go to the grading plan on that one,
It's the grading plan.
it really dips down on the right side of it, where if you look at, if you can keep, maybe go to sheet C5.0.
There we go.
Up one, yeah.
Okay, so you can see there's like the 272 contour on like that right side.
Yeah, and then 262 is
yeah.
not that far away.
So it goes down to 270 right there. So 270 is the low point, and I think it goes, the basin overflows at like 279.
Yep,
or so.
279.6.
So that's like 9 feet of ponding the water in there, like 8 to 9 feet of ponding of water before it uses the overflow. So, anytime I see, ponding that deep, usually it's considered like a safety concern.
Yeah. So,
I know it's like, a smaller portion of the basin, not the entire basin, but I just wanted to kind of note that in the comment.
So we do have gates, and per one of the previous comments from DPW, we put guardrail.
I see.
I think we could incorporate safety fencing on that to.
But before you agree to that, those fences are unsightly. It is next to a pond.
You're talking about a chain link fence.
Yeah, they're unsightly. I mean, if I were living in that neighborhood, I would not want to see a fence there. Part of what we were trying to do was enhance the natural appearance of the right-hand side. And that's gonna be something the town is gonna have to take care of.
Screening of some sort.
So, I agree. I understand where you're coming from, but for us, because we are going to be accepting the road eventually, it is a safety concern for the town.
But I want you to really think about it, because I think that's a really bad idea.
Okay.
It's gonna be ugly. It goes against what we were trying to do.
And by the way, that's a road right there, Ada, correct?
Yeah.
It's gonna get plowed in.
And it will be a maintenance nightmare for you guys. And I don't think you need it. It's next to a pond.
All right, well, we don't have to spend any more time on that, do we?
Yeah, but, so I'm not agreeing to it, I just want to tell you.
I defer to Bob.
Yeah, I'm not agreeing to that. That goes against what Mr. Moulton wanted to do here, which was to create a really nice ambiance. A chain link fence is not a nice ambiance. I hope I don't offend
So a
anybody.
chain link fence also,
And it's
for a
next to a
child that
pond.
says, come over here and see what's hidden behind the chain link fence. If if it's not there, it doesn't
Yeah.
even attract any attention.
I agree.
I mean, that's one of, I don't.
I'll have to. We also have to look at our regulations because I don't know what we.
But regulations are there to be waived. That's why they're regulations, not bylaws.
Hold on, so that's a cease and desist. It's getting late. So where are we on this list? Jim, is there more that you want to lead us through this evening?
Sounds good to me.
No, I think that's it. I think we've touched it.
Yeah, I think items 219 and 222 are kind of calculation bookkeeping.
Yeah.
Jim, I apologize, I have no idea how the 100-year calcs didn't end up in that version of the report. The one that I reviewed had them, so I'm not sure what happened in the process of PDFing and getting that out to you, but they were done. So we'll get you those, and we'll clean up those other couple of items.
Yeah, it just seemed like, pretty minor comments, the yellow ones. But yeah, I guess the 218 with the fence and, having the deep basin was something, we wanted to discuss.
Okay, thank you. So,
2 weeks.
I want to discuss where we are in next steps. I understand one of the things that the council has offered is to do a letter
Yeah,
with almost a punch list of conditions.
of what you need to be thinking about.
Okay, which would be, and when do you anticipate submitting that?
I should be able to get that to you within the next couple of weeks. Frank tells me he can turn the plans around in a couple of weeks. What is your meeting schedule like?
So our next two meetings are November 12th and the 28th.
So the 12th is.
Or 26th. Sorry. Let me just double check that. I have it
When's
right now.
Thanksgiving?
Well, it would be very tight to have revised.
So November 12th, November 26th, and then our next meeting is December 10th.
So I'd say let's go to the
I
26th.
would think the 26th would be achievable.
Are we
Yeah.
meeting the 26th?
Of November?
Yeah. When's
No,
Thanksgiving?
that's Thanksgiving.
Well, it's a Tuesday.
Let's look
Is
at
that the Tuesday before Thanksgiving?
I know, really. We get the week off?
So as of now, we have
When
a
I was
meeting
chair, we got the
scheduled.
week off every now and again.
So Thanksgiving falls on
Thursday.
the 28th.
Always.
28th.
On the 28th. We would have the
26th.
26th is the meeting.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but if
I
you
don't
guys
either,
have a
but I
problem.
need to check with my board members to
Yeah.
make sure we have everyone here so they can all vote, deliberate and vote, and that's what's really important.
Yes.
If we were to schedule for the 26th, is there anyone on the board who would miss that? Can we do this?
I'm just double
Nathan saying
checking.
yes. I'm yes.
I'm
Julie
in
says
town.
yes. I'm waiting on Ken and.
I'm here.
Okay, good. Jeff, Ken, you okay?
26?
Would you be able to get us the other information like the MIPA and the?
I would
CUP
think
and all
by
as
that point,
well?
well, I'll have something,
The submittal of it,
acknowledgements
yeah.
anyway,
And
yeah.
then we'll, Jim
But
will
again,
need-
those should be conditions.
Jim will also need time to review the final product and,
Yes.
and be able to turn around a final letter. So I'm not gonna say that we're gonna be voting on the 26th, but, we'll see where we are with what's being submitted and how much time Jim has, as well as how much time I have to review, get his letter, provide a draft, 'cause this is gonna be a big decision, so.
Yes, it will.
I'm not gonna commit to being ready for the 26th for a vote.
Well, that makes sense.
Because we also have waivers that we need to vote on and
Yes, we do.
discuss. We also need to, I know open space is
Open
another topic
space?
that needs to be
Yep.
discussed as well.
Hasn't even seen the project yet.
Yeah, so conservation has not been submitted for the NOI, which was something that we did discuss as well.
That'll be this week.
Yep. So they need to submit for that, and we need,
The Conservation Commission only has one meeting in November, so it'll be on that one, and they will not close until December, so.
yeah, and
And there's no DEP circuit rider at this point, so it's gonna be at least December by this point until we get comments back.
And I wouldn't feel comfortable approving that because that's one of the stormwater management parts that they're.
So then maybe we should just go to the 10th.
I mean, it would be good to get us the information as soon as you
Oh,
can.
yeah, absolutely.
But why don't we jump the meeting until December 10th?
Yeah.
At least, for the initial, for our initial reconvene to discuss where we are with everything. Yeah, I think the December 10th meeting would help. But I don't know, I mean, we're still gonna wanna make sure that through the process of the NOI, they're there. They also need to submit for the stormwater management permit, which remember, we need to do legal notice, abutters, all that kind of stuff for that.
But you can do that at the same meeting.
Yep, and then
Yeah.
we'll open it, and so just, there's still quite a bit of things that need to be done, so I'm not gonna commit to the next meeting having a vote, is what I'm saying.
Definitely not.
There will be more than one meeting at least.
And just in terms of timing, if the next meeting is the December 10th, the latest letter from Counselor Collins, give us.
We'll need an
deliberation.
extension
We'll need an
because
extension.
Yeah, no, that's right.
ours goes to November 30th. I think.
Yeah, so I'll
So
do a
that's-
new extension letter.
So we need a new extension letter.
Yep.
And as soon as you get the letter from the attorney, I'd love to sit with you and go over it.
Yes,
The
yes,
Conditions.
We'll only have that one meeting in December, correct?
Yes, correct, yeah, because we don't have anything on the 24th.
Thanks.
And,
Reschedule.
Jim.
No, we don't have anything at all. It's
Danny
a
and
holiday.
Matt, I'll reach out to you guys tomorrow about when we think
It's a
we'll
meeting
need,
holiday.
to have plans to you
Meeting.
Okay.
and just to kind of coordinate that.
Giving you a day off this year.
I think at this point too, just we've looked at the plan so many times, we'll be able to not take
I will not be
too
there.
long to
Yeah, I
review.
I would want to have them to you.
Oh, I have plenty.
Holding them up with the light behind it, right? One over the other with the light behind
I've
it.
done that.
Nice.
Trust, dude.
It works well.
It works well.
Where did he change that?
Well, the best thing is when people are asking, what are you doing?
Yeah. That's why I finally got a light table. My arms were getting tired.
I've been close. I tape them to the big windows in the office. Yeah, I'll look at our internal schedules and let you know and have something to you, ideally a couple weeks at a time.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't,
And taking into account Thanksgiving.
I don't see DPW taking longer than a week to
Yeah.
review
Okay.
at this stage.
And then
Open space.
we can actually do the meeting remotely if weather is bad, right? So
Yes,
you're
yes,
doing
yes,
this,
yep,
So that's
yep,
fine.
if it's necessary.
Yeah,
But we're looking at the 10th of
80.
December.
yeah.
Yep.
And what about the open meeting? You want to have a special,
I want to at least have a meeting for the open space.
so that would be after the 10th?
Yeah, because I think, or maybe the 10th, I don't know, we'll see.
Before the.
Well,
You'd have to just.
unless we do have a meeting on the 26th about just specifically the open space.
Yeah.
Might be worthwhile.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm confused. Why?
Just on that one topic.
Can I just speak to that?
Yes, please.
Okay. So when you go and review the open space plans and the part of the OSRD, there's quite a bit on there in regards to how the open space can be divvied up. So you gotta look into that, because if you say give ownership to Fish and Wildlife, I don't think the OSRD allows that. I think it has to have a conservation restriction, which the owner of the land cannot hold the CR. So it becomes very tricky on that, so you just gotta make sure we review all that before we're talking, but the open space is a very detailed
Yes.
part, because if you're talking about automatically giving the Conservation Commission, we may not want it depending on what you're giving us and how it's gonna be divvied up and what infrastructure's gonna be on that. It shouldn't just be a thought that the town automatically takes it, we need to be asked and verify that we actually do want it. And then who's gonna hold the CR at that point?
Yes, and as well as the updated conservation analysis, which I know we had talked about, you guys getting it
Yes, yeah, and it's
revised.
done. It's
So,
2 pages. I mean,
We'll need to have that information as well, so I think a whole open space.
100%.
I really, again, I'm not trying to tell you you work, but somebody's trying to give the town and the Commonwealth 140 acres of land. I don't understand why it
Because
won't.
we need to understand
No one's
who's,
saying no to
no, we're not
that.
saying no.
Yeah,
No,
But there's a process.
Logistics of
It's
it.
just part of the process. We need to understand who's it gonna give into, because, part of our open space, development, there are requirements as to who's the owner, who's gonna maintain, there's conservation restrictions, like Heather stated.
well, that's true if it were going to a private
Didn't we
landowner.
get this clarified by
We
Ian
did.
Gagnon already?
Yes.
We don't need a conservation
That's not what
restriction.
you
We don't need a
OSRD states.
That's what
CR.
the OSRD states. The OSRD states that it has to be in an conservation restriction. There's no you can't get out of it.
I'm gonna look at the bylaw. I do believe
No,
Jim's
your
right.
bylaw does not allow you for that. I'm sorry.
I'd like to,
Chair.
let Ms. Gagnon make a comment, please.
You guys are concentrating on this.
Hi, I was just Ann Gagnon, Mass Department of Fish and Game. I was just wondering if there's, a waiver mechanism or something like that, because, I have worked with many other towns that have allowed OSRDs, open space land to be held in fee by the Mass Department of Fish and Game because it is considered Article 97 protected open space. And, you know, we have the
I would,
ability to maintain, et cetera.
I would just need to
So I can-
talk to town council then and get an opinion.
So,
on
yeah,
that.
so what I was gonna say is I think, I mean, this has been going on for so many years now. I
Yeah.
think Marion started and I have been at almost every meeting. And she wanted me to tell you that she would have been here if she could, but she had a prior commitment. She had to speak at the PACE annual meeting. So she wanted to invite you, the members and the audience to, you know, schlep over to that meeting. If this meeting ended early enough, obviously that does not appear to be the case. And she also wanted to make sure that I tell you that she appreciates all the work that the planning board members and town staff have put into improving this project, as well as the developer and his group. This is a much better proposal than what was originally proposed. I think everyone will agree. So I think at one point, early in the process, maybe the very beginning of the process, we had discussed this issue of
Yeah.
the mass,
Ownership.
of the state agency owning the open space, and I had explained that various town councils had agreed, and the state actually holds open space set-asides for other OSRDs. So I will try to dig out that information that
Yeah, if you
we
could.
provided before.
And I'll talk to
You
the
should
town.
have it in your files, quite frankly, but I will.
So I'm not gonna, are my files, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I have to say, in everyone's defense, this has been going on for so long that it will probably take me a while to find my files.
Yeah, no,
Because
and,
there's so much material to sift through.
no, and I totally understand, it's just, I'm coming into this from the start of the definitive subdivision. I'm sure this has gone on for quite a bit of long time, a lot longer time. But based on what I'm looking at, based on what I have in front of me, based on the bylaw and our regulations, I don't feel comfortable, you know, telling the board that they can't
Oh,
do
sure,
that.
sure.
I'm
But we
go-
can get town council.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Okay,
So
yeah.
that, I just wanna make sure we're covering our grounds on everything.
Yeah.
But Ann's quite correct, we did discuss and check into that, and Ken's right. It's gotta be 4 years ago if it's a day, but we'll certainly resurrect all that stuff. But I don't think you need the CRs. You need the CRs when it's a private, either a homeowners association or a private conservation entity. You actually don't need a CR when the commission holds land or when the Commonwealth owns land. As long as it meets, as long as the deed recites it, that it meets Article 97 requirements.
So that's something we're gonna look
I'll have
into.
to, I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah,
Great.
We will-
it's easily ascertained,
Yeah.
not at the table.
So we agree that we'll meet again on December 10th?
Mhm.
All right,
That
so
would be just perfect.
I'd like, good.
You have to request a continuation.
Yes, we'd
Yes.
like, we want a continuation, please?
Yes.
Like a letter, yes?
Yeah.
Can I
Public
make
input.
two quick comments before you continue
Yeah.
or close? One is, and you probably already have this on your tick list, but it's always a good idea if there's open space set aside that gets done at the beginning of the construction process rather than at the end.
And that would be our intent.
So just wanted to put that, remind
Paying
everyone
insurance
about
on
that issue. And then the
And
second
taxes.
one is whether you are proposing Cape Cod berms or granite, because turtles do much better with Cape Cod berms.
Main Street.
So
I believe we are
I had like
proposing.
6 pages of comments back in October, and I
Yeah.
don't think any of those were discussed or addressed.
We haven't gotten that far in the comments.
Okay,
We're still kind of at 60, but surprisingly enough, excuse me, Mr. Chair, but we still hadn't gotten down in those details yet, but it had been discussed before to put as few barriers as possible.
All right.
And I'm not gonna talk about our turning, our driveway radiuses and stuff like that, we have to figure that out,
Mhm.
cause, yeah.
I believe the project is
Yeah.
all Cape Cod berm aside from just a
There's-
few select spots.
The entrance.
I think the entrance radius
Limited
is.
concrete, limited granite curb and primarily Cape Cod berm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I believe we need a motion to continue to.
Move to continue,
Public hearing?
I'm sorry, let me get it. Move to continue the public hearing for the Off-Right Road, Stratton Hill, map 6 parcels 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 11 through 55 to the December 10th, 2024 planning board meeting.
And then if you can accept the request that the time frame that you must hold the hearings and decide be extended to January 30th of 2025.
Please, sir.
And you'll just provide that in.
Well, I'm doing it right
Yep.
now.
Okay, great.
So.
Seconded.
yeah.
And you got a second? Any further discussion? Hearing none. Ken, how do you vote?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Nathan?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Mr. Chair, may I indulge you for a few minutes? Can we take a break for a few minutes?
Well,
I'd like to wrap up this meeting real soon. I mean, we're almost there. Let's do it. It's late, it's 8:30. Is there an,
Okay.
Yeah, we just have minutes.
we just have minutes. We're gonna skip project status. Nothing's on fire at the moment.
All right,
Annie, I'll give you a better version. of this.
you can tell me it is a better version. That's
Yeah.
fine. Jim, thank you for attending, and I'll be in
Yes,
touch with you.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Ann.
Give that to Danny if you could. File.
I move that we accept and approve the September 24th, 2024
Thank you all.
minutes.
Thank you.
With
See ya.
the
Yeah, so these were the ones that Nathan and yourself both
Nathan
had
and myself and Jeff, I think, contributed ads to.
I had a stupid comment, but yes,
And we
thank
got a
you.
second from Nathan.
Yep.
Any further discussion?
Yes.
What is it?
I didn't attend the meeting, but I think I noted on the minutes that I'd said I was in attendance in one place and said I wasn't in attendance in another place, unless it's been corrected.
I think it's been corrected, hasn't it? The
It
24th.
said attendees and listed all of us, then it said not in attendance later on.
Is it
It
fixed?
may have been a carryover. So we'll with those with that adjustment.
With that adjustment, we'll make that adjustment. Ken, how do you vote?
Can't vote, I was absent.
He was
It
absent.
was an abs, oh, okay.
Yes.
Julie? Nathan, you there?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you. And then we have the meeting minutes for October 8th. I submitted just a handful of revisions this afternoon. I move that we approve the October 8th, 2024 minutes, and I don't think Jeff or Ken can vote on
It's
that.
just.
Oh, excuse me, I goofed it up.
Yeah, second,
That's the meeting you weren't at, was the last one.
Yeah.
second,
And Julie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Nathan?
aye.
Chair votes aye.
You got
Motion to, do you need to talk before the adjournment, or can we adjourn and then we can chat?
I'm fine.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, seconded. Good night, everyone. It was a long meeting, but a good one.